proud of you, Jordan. Real proud of you, pal. Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Stokastic.com NBA Deeper Dive presented by PrizePicks. Ooh, 6-game slate today. A lot of moving parts, a lot of questionables. Brooklyn Nets, as always. Happy to have you guys with us. This should be a fun one. I'm Dave Loughran at Lofty_D on the Twitters. Joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS, broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, right alongside the water. What's happening, bro?
Yeah, man. How's it going? Interesting slate. I wish Brooklyn wasn't on it, but can't have everything, I guess.
No, I can't have anything, really. How'd you do yesterday?
Shitty.
Okay.
Didn't have Cam Thomas in my main lineups, which it wasn't like a specific reason I didn't have him. There were just a lot of guards. He didn't end up being one of them, and he went nuts. So not a good night for me.
How much Drummond did you have?
None.
It's funny too, because you had talked about him too.
Yeah, Josh had brought him up first, and then Chad had mentioned him. I mentioned him, but yeah, I mean, it was I didn't 150 max last night. If I did, I'm sure I would have had some, but I wasn't playing him in 3 max or single entry.
2.3 fantasy points per minute, par for the course.
Yeah, exactly like you said, he's gonna play a bunch of minutes and he's gonna do great.
Yeah. Hey, we said he could. It's just you need to get both.
Right.
Him and Vooch had a combined 100 fantasy points, though. Like, Vooch played 24 minutes, and they combined for 100 DraftKings points.
That's insane. I didn't realize that.
They didn't even play the full 48 minutes. They played a combined 44. And
right.
Yeah, Vooch was north of 2 fantasy. I think Vooch had 50 in 24 minutes. It just complete destruction. Anyway. Very happy to have you guys with us. Let's see. Okay, let me hit that thumbs up. A little housekeeping here, Hit the thumbs up. I'm already subscribed. Already joined as well. That's good stuff. 86,500 subscribers. Sweet. Making that steady climb to 100,000. If you haven't done so, take a single second and hit that thumbs up. Helps us greatly. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean of the stench. Help us, kneel down before the altar of the YouTube overlords, because otherwise we can't do shit around here. So appreciate it. It does help us. Otherwise I wouldn't ask. Let's get this at the 500 as we always do. Usually we make quick work of it and all that stress and fear dissipates. Anyway, that was ridiculous. Let's talk about some basketball today. We got 6 games to get into. Just had our ownership projections updated. Boom Bust Tool is updated as well. So we are in business. If you're looking to go stars and scrubs today, right now with what we know, like you have Edmund Sumner, of course, with no Dinwiddie. So that's significant. We already know that he's not going to play. Ben Simmons is going to play, or at least he said he would. We'll talk about that. Like if you look at the popular cheap plays right now in the ownership projections, dude, it kind of makes you not want to go stars and scrubs.
Yeah, well, 2 of them I don't think even end up being popular in Drummond and Saric. So
yeah,
some are certainly going to be popular. Don't know if he'll start or if they'll go to Cam Thomas, but either way, they both should play plenty of minutes with whether they're starting or not. But yeah, there's not, Jose Alvarado is another one. 22% ownership projected seems a little bit high. He's played 14 minutes in 3 of his last 4 games, but you also don't really need to go that cheap. Like, I'm not having any trouble getting to Nikola Jokic. If you want to go Davis over Jokic, that's fine. If you want to go LeBron, that's fine. If you want to go to one of the guards, that's fine. Like, it's not that difficult to get to them anyway. So I don't think you really need that cheap value. I think you can still get to those payoff options.
I assume you are all in on LeBron today, looking to break the all-time points record. I'm assuming you've factored that into your projections.
I have certainly not.
No. All right. Yeah, I don't think you should. Jacob, Dave, you had me cracking up about Saric and Josh Shingles on the strategy show this one. Dude, yeah, Josh showed me this guy had shingles at 27. Like bad.
Josh did?
Yeah. He showed it. We showed a picture of it on the stream today.
That
and
sucks.
I wish
isn't that like really painful?
Yeah. But like usually it's if you're 50 or like you're older when you get that.
Didn't we like get shots for that?
Now, isn't it like if you've had the chicken pox, you can get it?
Oh, that sounds right.
Something like that.
I never had the chicken pox.
You know what pisses me off though? I was too late on that. I had a hockey game at 10:40 last night. Didn't fall asleep till like 1:30. wife is, oh, you're keeping me up. I went down and slept on the couch. Just didn't want to do it. So I get up. I'm all tired this morning. And my brain wasn't working, but like I missed such an opportunity to call him Josh Shingleman.
Oh man, if you had said that like half of a second earlier,
I was trying to get there and the setup didn't work. I saw you sit there and I was like, oh my God, here we go. But Josh,
I can't believe that it didn't get time to where either I spit it out or I just like burned myself like choking on it.
Yeah. But dude, how perfect is that name?
Yeah, that sucks. You didn't think of it.
Old Shingleman. Yeah, I thought about it afterwards when I tweeted at someone. Anyway, let's get into this one. You got the Knicks, you got Orlando, and we got New York today. All right, so Barrett missed last game. He's questionable for this one. They're 1-point favorites on the road against the Orlando Magic. We have Barrett projected in right now, so obviously a whole lot can change in the event that he doesn't play. But if he plays, it's 6,300, and I know Josh talked about it this morning on the strategy show that he has a good amount of love for RJ Barrett today. Do you feel the same at a low 6K price point, assuming he's good to go?
Not really. At 6,300, like I think he looks okay. My concern is just that even prior to his illness and that random late scratch, we had seen him not consistently closing games. You were getting Emmanuel quickly closing over him in some games. I have him in at 35 minutes. I just don't feel comfortable going to like 37 or 38 like we could earlier in the year. I think he's certainly a decent option just because he's small forward eligible. It's still a good matchup against Orlando. If he's going to be 16% owned, I think that's a little bit higher than he should be. But he is still showing up, a little bit for me just because of the position and the price. But I do think just from having talked to Josh earlier that he's higher on Barrett than I am.
How do you feel about Randall today? Because when you're looking at the high price players on this slate, obviously, despite there being 6 games, you still have LeBron, you still have Jokic. SGA's price has increased considerably. John Morant is another one. Randall's up there though, essentially in the same tier as a lot of those other guys. Is Randall viable at this price point today?
I think he's viable, but he is behind all of the other guys that are up there for me. All the other 10K guys. So he's pulling about 12% ownership right now. I thought he should be around 10% owned. So nothing really too crazy either way. Again, it is a good matchup. You're expecting big minutes. I am slightly concerned. We got 34 minutes from him last game, 14 from Toppin. You're just going to sort of have that potential negative outcome for as long as Obi Toppin's healthy. But on average, you can still expect around 37 minutes from Randall. Certainly can give you that big game. Like if you get the game where Julius Randle's just going out there and makes the first 5 threes that he takes, he's very capable of paying off that price tag. It's just, obviously that's a pretty specific outcome. And he does project a bit behind, Morant, SGA, LeBron, Davis, all these other guys for me.
When you look at the rest of the Knicks, and I guess we could look at this on like across the slate as well. If you're talking about, a day where right now, at least there's not a ton of good value out there. Could this be one of the nights where you start to try and maybe find some lower end value, like sub 5K value that's not getting a lot of ownership, maybe a Hartenstein, in the event that he plays big minutes again? Is that an approach you're looking to take today or what? Because some of the value right now, as we know, is just not good.
Yeah, I don't think it's that necessary, again, to force in value like that on this slate, because you do have some underpriced mid-range guys. You do have Edmund Sumner as a value option. Right now we have 6% ownership coming into Hartenstein. I thought he should be about 7% owned. That's what the Boom Bust tool says as well. So, I think he's fine, but I'm not going out of my way to get there. I actually think Jalen Brunson is my favorite tournament play from this team. 8,500 is a little expensive, but it is a good matchup. He is actually averaging more minutes than even Julius Randle over the last 10 games. You're likely to get 37, 38 minutes from him. And he's only getting 5.5% ownership compared to the 16 coming into Barrett, the 13 coming into Randle. I think him and Randle are very comparable plays, not in terms of median projection. Obviously, Randle projects higher, but in terms of how popular I think they should be. Brunson actually stands out to me as the most under-owned guy from the Knicks.
Okay. What do you make of Wendell Carter Jr. on the other side? He's, 6K flat, 1.07 fantasy points per DraftKings points per minute this year. And his, all the rates are solid. He's a good rebounder. He even has a 14% assist rate, which for a big is not bad. 21% usage rate. What do you make of the minutes though, coming into a spot like this?
I think you expect 29 to 30 minutes. It's not the most appealing matchup going up against the Knicks, but he is reasonably priced. As a whole, I don't think Orlando is that appealing, but I think that Wendell Carter Jr. and Markelle Fultz are the first two guys that I would get to. Center only for Carter, but at 6K, he is about a fantasy point per minute guy. Again, not a good matchup, but should give you 29 to 30 minutes. It is a 6-game slate, so you don't have quite the same opportunity cost at center, at least right now. So I think getting to him is fine. We've also seen a little bit of increased playing time from Fultz recently. I only have him in for 30 minutes here. He did play 35 last game. That was a game where Jonathan Isaac was out. But it is nice. We've seen occasionally those 32, 33-minute games from him. At 5,800, he just projects like a decent option. I think him and Carter are the two that I like the most. Banchero and Franz Wagner are getting similar ownership, which kind of surprises me just because they are a little bit more expensive. I think I'm going to have a little bit more difficulty getting to those guys.
Any other spots from this game you want to hit on?
Not really. Jalen Suggs is still 3,600, but you do have Jonathan Isaac back. I assume he's going to play like 10 minutes or so. That's just enough to sort of cut into the projection on guys like Suggs, where he's pulling 7% ownership. That's enough to where I'm not really interested in going out of my way to get there. It's not like the other day when he was 1 or 2% owned without Isaac, and it was just like, oh well, this could easily turn into like a 24-minute Jalen Suggs game. Now I think it's a little bit more difficult for that to happen.
Let's talk about Atlanta then, because this could get interesting. DeJounte Murray's got some migraines, Adam. And I don't know. Have you ever experienced migraines?
No.
Me neither. I've heard they're not pleasant.
Yeah, I've heard it's not a good time.
Yeah, right. I don't envy people that have migraines. Anyway, he popped up midday as questionable. Hawks 2-point dogs, 237 total. Then you're talking about Trae Young, who already, at least earlier in the day, we had him at pretty respectable ownership. He's at 15% right now. In the 4 games he's played without Murray this season, 1.23 DraftKings points per minute, but 45% assist rate, 33% usage rate. So certainly the per minute production isn't through the roof, but the rates suggest that, the upside there is massive for Trae Young if DeJounte Murray sits in a game like this.
Yeah, certainly should benefit him if Murray is out. Even if Murray's in, Trae Young looks pretty good. Yeah. Should play 34, 35 minutes, decent spot. $9,400 price tag is certainly very reasonable for him. But if Murray sits, Young's going to look even better just because you're going to have the ball in his hands even more. He's not going to have to, ever give up point guard duties if Murray's not playing. So if Murray's out, you're likely to get more minutes from like Bogdanovich as well, which would make him look a bit better, but it should certainly benefit Trae Young. Overall this year, 1.31 DraftKings points per minute for Trae Young. If you take DeJounte Murray off the floor, you get 1.48 DraftKings points per minute, a 39% usage rate, and a nearly 50% assist percentage as well.
Someone asked Jordan, how many steps since the strategy show? Yes, Jordan had suggested that he gets on a good day around, 300 steps, Jordan? So he shared his Apple Watch, the fitness thing with me. Let's see. Those are good numbers, man. 537, 4,900 steps already. You're muted.
Definitely ramped it up today for sure after that
4,900, man. Not bad. And it's only 2:00 there.
I'm pretty much. I thought you said he had 300.
What's that?
I thought you said he had 300.
No, dude, he was saying that his average on the day is 300, which just can't be right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty much good for the week, I think, at this point, right?
What? Dude, you aren't. No, you got to be putting up like 7,000 a day, man. Good for the week. It's not rollover steps. Listen, once you're rolling morbidly obese and you can no longer do it, fine. But as of now, I'm impressed. All right. Let's get back to business here. If DeJounte Murray plays, how tough is it to get to him now that they priced him up after Trae Young was out the other day?
It's really tough. Like I had kind of gotten I never got as enamored with him as I think Josh did based on strategy shows. But when you're getting him down at that like $8K, $8,200 price tag, it was like, all right, you're still getting 36, 37 minutes. It's still a good player. Like he should be able to run into some games. But Trae Young just does so much to nerf production from basically everybody else on this team that it was tough to get there then. And then now with him coming up to 9,200, it's extremely difficult. Like, yeah, he's sub 1% owned if you're playing 150 max and you get there, sure, whatever, it's fine. But there's just plenty of spots I would get to first. Doubt that I would end up with any. It's just so difficult to really ever click him over Trae Young, even with the price gap or the ownership gap rather.
Travis Petty, DFS guys don't have time to walk around. I don't know, man. Adam takes some nice strolls in the summer around the harbor.
Yeah, did that for a week or two.
Got like 10 days in there, and you're like, man, this could be addicting.
Yeah, and then I skipped it for like one day, and I was like, yeah, I'm done.
You did say like, man, I could get used to this.
Well, I remember I was late to record like a video with Greg because I had just like kept walking, and then I looked at my phone and realized that was like a 20-minute walk from my apartment, and I was supposed to record in like 5 minutes.
What else are you doing with Atlanta?
So assuming that DeJounte Murray's in right now, I think the rest of the pieces I'm interested in are kind of just secondary options where, you have Capella has a high upside option at center. He is pulling a little bit less ownership than Wendell Carter Jr., makes him an interesting pivot there. DeAndre Hunter at 5,200 is useful as a last guy in, but certainly not somebody that you're really going out of your way to prioritize. John Collins is showing up for me, which scares the shit out of me because I don't think he's very good and I don't trust his minutes either. But not too, overall this year in games he's played with Trae Young, he's averaged about 32 minutes per game. Recently, you've been getting around 30, 28 to 30, but not, too long ago, he was getting north of 32. Overall, over the last 10 games, he's still at 32. So I expect, 30 to 32 on average and at 5,400 and modest ownership. He's interesting. I just don't have a lot of confidence because of how poorly he's played this year.
You want to talk about the Pels?
Yeah.
The Brandon Ingram price point just doesn't make much sense. He almost has a 40% usage rate since he returned. There's no Zion Williamson on the floor. He's $7,100. His minutes are back to normal. He's facing the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, it's no surprise he's this popular. I guess the only question at this point is like, how do you approach the 55% ownership? Not is he a good player or not? Because objectively, he's a great player.
Yeah, I think he's one of the closest things we have on this slate to like Jordan Poole last night, where it was just very, very obvious. Obviously, he's a little bit more expensive than Poole. You do have the Nets guys. They're going to look really good as clear top options as well. But you just have Ingram playing normal minutes now, which typically is going to be 33 to 34 minutes. If a game really does come down to the wire and he avoids foul trouble and everything, you get 35, 36. But he has about a 30% usage rate going back to the start of last season in games he's played without Zion and with CJ McCollum. He is involved as a playmaker. He rebounds, well enough. It's just a completely broken price tag for him to be playing without Zion.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. The rest of this team gets a little tricky though, because and Josh and I talked about it this morning. Jonas Valanciunas is a great guy to play when he's getting little ownership and you're hoping that you can get leverage on a spot. But we got him at 25% right now. I mean, that's a lot for a guy who might play 23 minutes.
Yeah, it is a lot. And I mean, the thing makes it so tricky to talk about. And you're not going to be comfortable, like, no matter which way you go. If you just like jam in Joe Val because he's 5,700, you're still holding your breath, like hoping he gets more than 22 minutes. If you don't play him because he's 24% owned, if he plays 28 minutes, you are probably absolutely dead on this slate. So it's a really, really tricky spot. In the last two games that he's been in, we haven't seen Billy Hernangomez play. So if you get that rotation again, it's certainly good for Joe Val. It becomes likely that you're getting, like a 24-24 split, something along those lines between him and Nance. But Hernangomez is always live to just jump into the rotation and steal 6 minutes and really make things dicey. But the nice thing is that it is, only a 6-game slate. You don't have tons of good center options. So I think that Joe Val is a good play. I do think 24% is a bit too high. I think it would be reasonable. We've already talked about a few centers in this price range where you have Joe Val pulling 25% ownership. You have Carter pulling, I think like 13. I don't remember what it was. And you have Capella pulling 3. If you kind of just average those guys out, like you're still getting to Joe Val. You're still getting plenty of bites at the apple if he gives you that big game, but you're also moving some of that exposure to guys like Capella and Carter who do have a similar range of outcomes, knowing that Joe could play 22 minutes, in which case you're getting 7 or 8 minutes more from Wendell Carter Jr. You're getting 4 or 5 minutes more from Clint Capella. So I think that's one, kind of interesting or reasonable way to approach it. Another way to approach it that I think is very interesting, especially in large field stuff, Larry Nance is only getting 1% ownership right now, which surprises me. He's likely to play around 24 minutes as well. He has power forward eligibility. He's not as good a point per minute guy as Joe, but it's not like he's a bad point per minute guy either. So I am kind of surprised that he's not getting any ownership at all.
The other scary thing about Joe is he could play 22 minutes and kill you if you don't have him.
Right. Also,
he has
very
a 20. True. You take Zion off the floor this year, 21% rebound rate, 27% usage rate. And what's his per minute production without Zion? 1.125. Like we've seen the last 2 games, 22, 24 minutes, 36 and 45 DraftKings points with 2 monster doubles.
Yeah. Overall this year, like you said, 1.25 DraftKings points. You do have to keep in mind, McCollum / Ingram have been out for a lot of that, but
that's true.
Still going to be a good point per minute guy, regardless, just because he can rebound, he can score around the basket. Even if you put CJ McCollum on the floor, he's at about 1.25 fantasy points per minute. I'm trying to get them both on the floor, but it's not loading correctly. 193 minutes where Ingram and McCollum have been on the floor, still 1.25 DraftKings points per minute for Joe. There's certainly, I think, more upside than downside at this price point, and that's why the ownership is there. Because like you're saying, you can actually run good on the minutes, and he plays 20 to 22, and it's still not hard for him to beat $5,700.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's a great play. It's just there's ways it can go wrong. Anybody else you want to talk about? Alvarado, Herb Jones, CJ McCollum, anyone else here?
Yeah, Herb Jones is showing up a lot for me, which is not comforting at all, but his playing time has been up. He played 40 minutes a couple of games ago against the Lakers. You've been getting 34 plus in recent games. If he avoids foul trouble, I think expecting that here makes sense as well. Not a good point per minute guy, but at 4,900, if you expect around 3/4 of a fantasy point per minute, he's still going to look like a good option here. Jose Alvarado is projected for a lot of ownership right now, which is pretty wild to me. 22% projected ownership at 3,500. He's the kind of guy where if you were getting 3 or 4% ownership, I would think he was interesting in tournaments, because if he happens to run into 22, 23 minutes, he is a good point per minute guy. But this team is getting healthier. You have Jones, you have Marshall, you have Murphy all playing. In 3 of the last 4 games, you've gotten about 14 minutes from Jose Alvarado. It's not like you're talking about, oh, he's going to play 18 for sure, and maybe he'll play 22 or 23. He absolutely can kill you if he plays 14 minutes. Similarly, though, if you don't have him at 3,500 and he does play that 20 or 21 minutes, then he's probably going to be a good option. So it's a spot where the ownership really matters to me, because I think there is so much volatility in his playing time. If he's going to be 22% owned, I just think I can find other ways to go and then hope that he just doesn't put up a score that you need to have.
Want to keep this one moving?
Yeah.
Let's do it then. All right. Next up, Phoenix and Brooklyn. This should be fun. Before we do, though, shout out to our sponsor, PrizePicks. You hear us talking about, and Riley, I'll get to that super chat in a second. You hear us talking about the free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. You hear us talking about the $100 first match deposit bonus. How about our boy Josh Engelman just came out with a PrizePicks video on the I think it's on the Odd Shopper channel. It might be, I'm not sure. This channel, the Odd Shopper. Yeah, it's on the Odd Shopper channel. PrizePicks blown up for obvious reasons. All you're doing is taking props. That's it. No juice on either side, right? Just the over or the under. Any sport you want, you can mix them together. You could do 5-play flex lineup. It's really a parlay, except in this case, a traditional book, if you hit 4 of 5 legs, you're not getting shit back. With this, you hit 4 or 5, you still 2x. You still make money back if you 3x. Let's say foul trouble, you had an over like Luka Doncic the other day. Boom. And then you go 4 or 5. You're not done. You're not crying yourself to sleep. You still 2x. You hit all 5, you're 10xing. You hit 6 of 6, you're 25xing. Not to mention, scratch that itch in non-legal gambling, non-legal betting states. PrizePicks is the way to do it. Plus, you're getting a free month of every single tool that we have on the site. Basketball, football, hockey, PGA, MMA, all of our content. If there's contests out there, we got content for it. All the tools that you can dream up. We're constantly innovating, coming up with more. All the guys behind the scenes. You're getting that for free when you sign up, right? And you're getting 100% on up to $100 first match deposit bonus. You got to use the link though. Otherwise we can't take your word for it. Unfortunately, link's in the description. Link is in chat. Jordan can throw it in there. That's $100 first match deposit bonus. And all the tools on you don't have to get in the Hall of Fame to get your free month. All you got to do is sign up at PrizePicks, make a $10 or more deposit and get the free month, all of our tools. And we hope that you stick. We hope you win and then you stick around. Join our Discord as well. You got it. Full calendar month, everything on the site. And if you want to get the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, you can do that as well. So great site to play at. And they got the free square for Patrick Mahomes for the Super Bowl too. So if you're doing a 5-player lineup, throw Mahomes in there. You can mix these up. Doesn't have to be straight down the board with football. Throw it in there. It's over half a passing yard. That's it. Make sure to select the over. But he just needs to throw for, I think it's 1 yard, free square. Boom. You already locked one in. So you got that, the $100 first match deposit bonus and everything for the entire month at Stokastic. Check it out. Links in the description and in chat. We love PrizePicks, sponsor of the Deeper Dive. All right, Phoenix. Now that Devin Booker's returning, how many minutes are you giving him?
I went 32. I don't feel overly confident in that. I do think they waited to bring him back, which makes me think that he's probably not going to be like significantly limited, but I'm also not too worried about it because he's $9,500. If Devin Booker in his first game back ends up playing enough minutes to hurt me at $9,500, oh well, I'll move on to tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't matter much. I wouldn't be surprised if he's definitely limited though.
Yeah, I mean, like 32 is limited. I just don't think that they're going to bring him back. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but like, I don't think they're going to bring him back and it's going to be like, oh, we're going to play him 24 or 26 minutes. Like, I think they would have just held him out. And I do know he made a comment. They asked him, like, about how he was feeling or about his rehab, whatever the phrasing was. And he basically said something along the lines of, yeah, we made sure to check more boxes this time and like make sure everything is like good to go, as opposed to last time when he came back and then immediately got hurt again.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, he came back on Christmas Day, played like 4 minutes, and he was out.
Yeah.
For what, another month and a half? So you would think that they've been pretty, cautious with this. Do you like anything for Phoenix today?
I do not. To me, the only thing I could even remotely get to is Chris Paul at 7,800 on DraftKings. He still doesn't have a real backup point guard. You know, you can call either Devin Booker the backup point guard or Saban Lee, a backup, but still no Cameron Payne. So I think it's likely you're getting around 33, 34 minutes from Paul. He does see a drop in production with Devin Booker, but it's nothing crazy because it's not like Chris Paul's a super high usage guy either way. But even that is just a secondary option. I don't see really anything else though. Mikal Bridges is priced up. DeAndre Ayton is priced up. Those are results of Booker being out, and now Booker is back. You have Cameron Johnson back, but they've clearly been looking to limit his minutes. Torrey Craig probably loses minutes here. Dario Saric has been very good recently, but I'm not convinced he even plays today. And if he does, I have a hard time finding more than like 10 to 12 minutes for him. So I really don't like anything from Phoenix, again, outside of maybe getting some Chris Paul.
Would you rock a Dario Saric mustache for $10,000 for a month? $10,000 for a month?
I have no idea what Dario Saric even looks like.
Just Google it. Just Google Dario Saric mustache real quick. It'll only take a second. I think you'll like it. Josh and I had this discussion this morning. If $10,000, so you got to go to the bar like
that's
that.
Rough. He looks like a cartoon character.
10,000. Hey, don't make fun of him, man. He's got the lip thing. But and I didn't even know respectful. Be respectful.
Yes, yeah. I didn't even know that. I had no idea.
I know. I'm just joking. Would you?
But no, he looks like the guy from man. What cartoon is that?
I can't wait to see where you're going with this. I don't know.
I don't know the name, so it's not. Is it Rocky and Bullwinkle?
$10,000? Like you got to go to the bar like that. You're hanging out with you meet a girl. Would you rock the mustache?
Dude, do you understand how bad the last couple months of DFS have been for me? I'll do it for like 1,000.
Really? For the month? I don't think you actually would. You're looking at it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like 10 sounds good. All right. Nothing else from Phoenix, right? You want to talk about Brooklyn here?
Yeah, that's it from Phoenix.
Okay. Still debating that question. Edmund Sumner, Cameron Thomas, both of them fantastic. Thomas had a like 40% usage rate. And it was funny. No one had more than 7 potential assists in that game. I actually want to start with I really want to pick your brain on this Ben Simmons thing. like just given that they don't really have any legitimate playmakers outside of Ben Simmons on this roster or on the lineup right now, especially with Dinwiddie out and Irving gone. Could this just be one of those explosive Ben Simmons peripheral games where you look back on it and you go, I should have seen that coming? Or should we be worried about the minutes still?
So I am worried about the minutes just because it's Ben Simmons. He hasn't played since the 26th. Who knows if he's going to be limited or not. I went to 28. If he played more than that, I wouldn't be shocked. Like if he was healthy, I'd be projected. If he hadn't missed any time and we didn't have any injury concerns, I probably would have projected around 32, 33 for him here. So I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, if I end up being a little bit low. He does also have a 44% assist percentage without Kyrie or Durant on the floor this year. Obviously, you're not expecting much in the way of, usage bumps or anything like that, but there is a path to him having a big game, whether that's he just plays more minutes than I'm expecting, whether it's he does play well, which, sometimes happens. We've seen him more frequently find his way into the closing lineup when Kyrie Irving was out as well. I don't necessarily think he closes today. You could definitely just see a lineup where you have, O'Neal, Claxton, Sumner, Thomas, Harris, or something like that. But it does make it a little bit more likely because they do need his playmaking. So I think he's interesting in tournaments. He's pulling 10% ownership. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but power forward eligible, 6,700. There is a very nice ceiling for him. I just don't feel confident because it's Ben Simmons. I think that's probably the case for a lot of people.
Right, and why he's getting 10%.
Right.
Yeah. Weird Steve TV. No, you don't. The PrizePicks promo, it doesn't have BetPro, but BetPro the first week is free too. So if you're like, all right, I'm going to do the free month with PrizePicks, I also want to check out BetPro, throw that link in there, Jordan. It's in the description. Our BetPro, which has been crushing the NBA props game, all the same, just amazing projections that we're using for this. The first week is free on that, Steve. So you can dive in and get both of them. 1 week free on BetPro, full month free on Stokastic Plus Platinum. Set yourself up real nice for the coming weeks and month. All right, let's get back to this then. Sumner and Cameron Thomas. I mean, at this rate, Sumner's the best value play out there.
Yeah, he's so cheap at 4,100. I don't know who's going to start between him and Thomas. My guess is Sumner just because they've used him as the starter for a lot of this year, and Cam Thomas has barely been able to crack the rotation. But Cam Thomas has also just played absolutely out of his mind in the last 2 games. So if they rewarded him with a start, it's not like it would be the craziest thing. You also could, I guess, just have Simmons come off the bench if you're looking to limit him. But either way, 4,100 for Sumner is just a crazy price tag. Like even if he's coming off the bench, you're likely getting upper 20s in minutes. Similarly for Cam Thomas, even if he comes off the bench, you're likely getting 30 plus minutes from him at 5,200 and shooting a ton, because the return of Ben Simmons certainly doesn't do anything as far as taking usage away. So Cam Thomas, Edmund Sumner both look good. You're just getting an $1,100 discount on Sumner, so he's going to show up a little bit more. But two of the 3 highest owned players on the slate on DraftKings, along with Brandon Ingram.
All right. Well, we had a super chat earlier from Riley Cooper 14, who yesterday I said, is that the real Riley Cooper? Got no response. Well, left in suspense until today. Riley super chats us, says, any love for KCP today? By the way, KCP probable. We'll get to that. Fly Eagles fly. Agreed. And yes, Laffy, I'm him. Now, Adam, if you had to put odds on this, what do you think the odds are that it's actually the Riley Cooper? Mind you, his Twitter is also Riley Cooper 14.
His Twitter or his YouTube?
I'm saying his Twitter is all Riley Cooper's real Twitter is Riley Cooper 14.
Okay.
And this name is Riley Cooper 14, except there's an underscore on Twitter.
50 to 1.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere around that too. 50 to 1, 100 to 1. Yeah. Unlikely. But we'll still answer your question. Any love for KCP?
Not really. He is probable after leaving early. But it's just, you expect 30 to 32 minutes from him. 5K is not a great price tag. If Jamal Murray's out, maybe he looks a little bit better. Murray is questionable, but assuming Murray's in, it's just, you have, obviously from an ownership standpoint, it's a really big gap, but you have Sumner at the same positions for 900 less. You have Cam Thomas for 200 more, just like totally different, higher usage, higher upside guys to give you a just different range of outcomes.
Malachar is actually DB Cooper. Yo, DB Cooper, the man, the myth, the legend. You know that story, Adam. Jumped out of a plane, jumped out of a plane with the money, never to be found again.
Without a paddle.
And without a parachute.
No,
he did have a parachute, by the way. He would be dead. You're talking about the movie Without a Paddle?
Yeah, the Dak Shepard movie.
Yeah, I've seen that a long time ago.
I think I saw it in theaters.
They think they found some of his money on the shoreline too. I watched the documentary and turned it off halfway through because it's just a bunch of lunatics. All right. Anybody else you want to get to?
I was unaware that made you stop watching documentaries.
No. Listen, dude. I see how you're trying to insult me there, and I won't take it. Anybody else for Brooklyn that you like?
Nick Claxton in tournaments pulling 9%. We know that his production goes up without Durant. He's been extremely productive this year without him and Irving. You're likely getting mid-30s in minutes. He's 7,700 and just not pulling a ton of ownership. So I do like getting there. Again, not the best spot overall for Brooklyn here going up against Phoenix as 8-point dogs at home, but I like the ceiling there. If you really just want to light money on fire, Joe Harris is cheap, but I'm hoping to avoid that as much as I can.
Okay. Favorite player from this game, not named Edmund Sumner. Cameron Thomas.
Yeah.
And then favorite behind that?
Claxton.
Okay. Claxton's got off to a brutal start yesterday. Thank God he ended up picking it up with another big double-double, but that was ugly out of the gate. Talk about Chicago. They're on a second of a back-to-back, along with a couple other teams on this one. Dude, Andre Drummond, just huge game yesterday. I know he's almost the dead man. But if Caruso, DeRozan, like if this team gets fully healthy, how can you touch Andre Drummond?
If they're fully healthy, I think it's really difficult. If Caruso is in and DeRozan is in, it's tough. Like, could he still play the backup center minute? Sure. Like maybe the Bulls just want to reward him for that great game yesterday. He had a quote recently where like a reporter asked him if he felt like he deserved to be playing more. And he asked the reporter what the reporter thought. And the reporter said yes. And Drummond was like, all right, I agree. So like, I don't know, like squeaky wheel, if they reward him, sure. But like, it makes it really, really difficult to be confident in him getting minutes if Caruso is in and if DeRozan is in. If one or both of those guys are out, I think you get Drummond as the backup center again, just because you need Derek Jones to play wing minutes. You need, minutes to go elsewhere. So I think it's likely that at least one of those guys sits here. And if they do, I think Drummond is going to be a pretty appealing option again. Certainly risky because there's no guarantee he plays, but he's still 3,100. You don't need that much to go right for him to get there in the sense of, at least give you a decent score at that salary. Obviously, you're not expecting yesterday, but if Caruso and or DeRozan are out, I will give Drummond all of the backup center minutes. If they're both in, I'm projecting him to play, but not play enough that I would be playing him in DFS.
You want to get to the typical trio here, the LaVine, DeRozan, Vooch. Of course, there's still a bit of a disparity in ownership on FanDuel and DraftKings. Like LaVine, 22% right now on FanDuel, 10% on DraftKings. He's 7,700 on FanDuel still.
Yeah, I mean, it's on DraftKings. I have a tough time getting to much of it. LaVine, probably the easiest shooting guard, small forward at 8,300. He'll certainly look better if DeRozan is out, as will Vooch. But, $9K for Vooch is kind of tough to prioritize. You can go to Claxton for 1,300 less, who projects for similar playing time and similar point per minute production. So if all three of those guys are in, I don't really like anything from the Bulls on DraftKings. It's a tough matchup against Memphis as well. On FanDuel, the pricing certainly a bit better. 7,700 for LaVine in particular stands out, and he is pulling a lot of ownership. But if everybody's in, I don't really like this team all that much. If Caruso is out, I like taking some shots at Drummond. If DeRozan's out, then I'm certainly going to like LaVine and Vooch more. You do run into the risk, if DeRozan's out, that they just get shit on by Memphis, but not going to weigh that too much. So you would certainly get better projections on DeRozan and LaVine, or on LaVine and Vooch rather, if DeRozan is out.
If everybody plays, who's your favorite option from Chicago?
LaVine, just because he's the cheapest and has the best positional eligibility.
Okay. Hippopotamus with a $10 super. I can't believe you're still running with this, man. It's been like a month now. Yes, I'm actually Hippopotamus. What?
I said that he gets stuck not being able to change it again.
Oh, wait. Is this definitely the one that had to have like, what was it? What was the other one before? Something about you, right?
Yeah, he used the picture on my wall, I think.
Yes, that's right. He said, you should see me try to type these super chats. Yeah, I don't know. I might just be a bit at this point. I can respect it. Appreciate the super chat though, man. What's that? Oh, it is? Oh, we like Eric Traub. 2 games to go. Minnesota, Denver, OKC, LA Lakers. Let's make it happen.
We skipped Memphis.
Oh, my fault. Sorry. Hippopotamus threw me off. Talk to me about Jaren Jack. Let me ask you this. Is John Morant one of your favorite high-priced players today in that same neighborhood as like SGA and a couple of these other guards, assuming that DeJounte Murray plays, because that could swing things with Trae Young, of course, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that would certainly change a lot. But yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorites in the sense that, like, I think, or my projection on Morant is Morant, James, and SGA are all within a point for me, and then Davis is a little bit higher. Jokic is by himself. So yeah, like I like Morant more than I like Randall, for example, who's $100 less. I think Morant's very comparable to LeBron and SGA.
How about Jaren Jackson pulling a little extra playing time lately? We know that he's one of the best just overall shot blockers in the league, can rack up monster peripheral stats. He's not exactly cheap. He's pulling a mid-range price, essentially the same as Brandon Ingram, but 38, 34, and 32 minutes over his last 3 contests.
Yeah, it really concerns me. I was talking to Josh earlier. I was like, I don't remember, because Jackson's like showing up in like pretty much most of my highest projected lineups right now. And it's like, I don't remember ever having a $7,300 Jaren Jackson show up as optimal, but he is playing more minutes. He's a good point per minute guy. You're occasionally getting a couple minutes at center without Steven Adams as well. He's projecting for 24% ownership, so he's likely to be one of the highest owned guys on the slate. He just looks really good here. It's not a bad matchup against Chicago either. 121 implied total for Memphis. I expect to get to Jackson probably more than anybody else on this team, which again is weird because he's 7,300 and there is some sticker shock, but the playing time's been there. The type of upside he offers because of his blockability. If he gets in foul trouble tonight, I won't be having a good night, most likely.
What about Tillman? If he, continues to get the run that do you expect him to continue playing big minutes?
As long as he starts, yeah. Obviously, if Brandon Clark starts, get off Tillman and get to whatever Clark you can. But assuming Tillman stays in the starting lineup, I think you expect around 27 minutes from him, around 19 from Clark, probably a couple at center from Jackson. The biggest, there's always the risk that either Clark plays really well off the bench and Tillman just doesn't come back. As the Grizzlies get more wings, there's also the risk that they just give Jackson more minutes at the 5 and you get something like, 24 for Tillman, 18 for Clark, and 6 for Jackson. But based on what we've seen so far, you're just getting 27, 28 minutes at least from Tillman, with Clark as the clear backup and Jackson maybe playing a couple of minutes. At 4,600, I'm still willing to go to Tillman. I don't feel super confident in it, but that's just a cheap enough price tag where he's showing up quite a bit for me as well. I would expect him or Jackson to be my highest owned guy from Memphis, assuming that Tillman starts. Then, I'm still getting to some John Morant because it's John Morant. His rebounding numbers in games he's played with Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, and Dylan Brooks are quite a bit lower than they are.
Are you still talking about Tillman?
No, talking about Morant.
Morant now? Okay.
They're quite a bit lower than they are for the season, but I don't want to read into that too much. His rebounding percentage does go up when Steven Adams is off the floor. So I think it's probably just a small sample, even though we are talking like 13 full games at this point. But it's something to keep in mind, but I'm not trying to read into it too much at this point.
Ed Monk, you're damn right, man. 2,400 people watching. He called them sinners. 304 thumbs up. Some holy water for the sinners. Yes, that's right. Atone for the sinners. 310 now. I would hope that Adam and Jordan have already hit that thumbs up. We're 190. This is actually going to, usually it's not that tough. 190 with 15 minutes to go until we turn the page over to live before lock. Come on, man. Come on. Takes a single second. And if you hate the show, hit that thumbs down twice. Make sure to do it twice, though. It makes it, mean a whole lot more. But we'll get there. I still have confidence in you guys, all 2,400 of you. The ratio's down enough to where there's enough people out there that'll take care of us here. Brazil with a $20 super chat. Thanks, man. Sorry if you guys already addressed this, but why is Jose being projected like this? I assume he's talking about Alvarado. Something I'm missing. Would I assume would be a good pivot off of him? This is a FanDuel question. Thanks, guys. Good luck, everyone, tonight. Yeah, thanks for the super chat, man. What do you think, Adam?
So we did just get a projection update, and he went from 23 minutes to 20 and a half. So he just came down. I was going to say, I think I have him at about 19. So I thought the 23 was a little bit high. Like I said, you get those occasional games where he plays a lot of minutes, but he's also played 14 in 3 of the last 4. So I thought the projection before was a little bit high. It did just get fixed. Much more reasonable now. So to answer the second part of that question, the ownership's going to come down. The ownership projection, rather, is also going to come down. But yes, Dosunmu is a reasonable pivot if you were to get a situation where Alvarado is still pulling a lot more ownership. I think that gap will close. But it's kind of a two-part question, because I agree that the projection was too high. And if it had remained that way, you were going to get way too much ownership going to Alvarado.
Minnesota and Denver. Thanks again for the super chat, man. Minnesota and Denver. Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, so we still have some questionables here. I mean, at this point, we're projecting Anderson, Rudy Gobert in. McLaughlin, I think we have in. But with Kyle Anderson, Jaden McDaniels, those right now are the 2 most popular plays for Minnesota today. It's not Russell. It's not Edwards, who is now 5 figures on DraftKings, $10,000. D'Angelo Russell, 74. It's Kyle Anderson and Jaden McDaniels at 20 and 13% respectively.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson terrifies me here because I'm getting a ton of him, and I don't see any way around that if I project him in, and then it's just going to be a pain in the ass if he gets ruled out. But I don't really know how else to handle that right now. At least you can, if he gets ruled out, swap, a good amount to Jaden McDaniels. You'll be able to swap down to Taurean Prince and then, upgrade other parts of your lineup. But at 4,900, if Kyle Anderson is in, you're expecting he plays 28 to 30 minutes, and he's a pretty good point per minute guy. He just projects as a good option. He's that same price tag as Herbert Jones, which has been very, very useful from a roster construction standpoint. So, I'm going to get to a lot of him if he's in. If he's out, I will end up getting more McDaniels, getting more Prince. McDaniels at 4,600 looks a little bit worse than Anderson for me, assuming Anderson is in, but he's also a little bit lower owned. I think he's similar, though, in that, it's just a wing that's likely to play 32 minutes and projects reasonably well. He's going to allow you to get to, the guards and centers that you want. So both of those guys look like useful pieces. I do like Rudy Gobert in tournaments at 6,800. He's questionable if he plays. I think that's just a little bit too cheap of a price tag. On average, he's going to give you 32 to 33 minutes, but we know he can give you 35. If he gets ruled out, again, just go to Naz Reid at 4,700. If you get a situation where Anderson and Gobert are ruled out, it's very easy to just swap Anderson to Reid in most of your lineups. But whoever's at center for Minnesota, I'm going to like. Gobert would be as a contrarian center play. Reid would be as one of the most popular, but obviously best plays on the slate.
All right. Hey, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas are now game time decisions.
Cool. So I'm not reading into that too much. They were already on the injury report as probable. Coaches say game time decision when reporters ask them questions, but as long as we got that was the 4:30 injury report. The 5:30 injury report, they are still both listed as probable.
Okay, so all right. So I guess we'll operate under the assumption that they're going to play.
That's normally how I view it. I mean, pay attention to the 6:30 injury report too, but coaches say game time decision, meaning like they're going to warm up, and then assuming nothing weird happens.
Right. No, you're right. Also 7:30 tip. So that's nice. There's only one game before that. That's Knicks in Orlando. So we should have that before lock anyway. 2 things. That's why you stick around for live before lock, because you got Greg and Eric coming up next, and they're taking you all the way through lock for the PrizePicks post lock show. They'll be going over everything, DFS, looking at ownership, looking at lineups, talking player props, going through the Bet Pro tool, Odds Shopper, PrizePicks, all that good stuff after lock. And thank you guys. Crushed 500 likes. That was way too easy, and we appreciate you for that. Wait, Jordan, you're I don't know. You're not muted. Is that coming from you? Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Way to go, man.
Yeah. Wade W, pick 2, GPP. Oh yeah, this is right up Adam's alley. Metallica, Pantera, sorry, Ozzy or Slayer.
I mean, I have listened to a Metallica album before, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that one.
Okay. Pantera is good, man. I'd put Pantera above Metallica, but that's a touchy subject for a lot of people.
I mean, of the other three, like I couldn't answer. Like to me, I mean, Ozzy is an MTV personality. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's much personality left. Yeah. But Dimebag Darrell was the guitarist for Pantera. And he was playing guitar for, I don't believe it was for them. It was for another band. Someone walked up to him on stage and shot him dead.
Entertaining concert.
Pretty crazy. Yeah. Yeah. That's one way to put it. I would go Pantera and then I'd go Metallica. Not a huge Metallica guy, but I respect them. I've listened to all their stuff. You're right. Ozzy's a personality, a half dead one at that. Shikari, rank these guys: Sumner, Cam Thomas, Ingram, and Fultz.
Sumner, Ingram, Cam Thomas fall off of a cliff and get to Markelle Fultz.
Okay.
And to be clear, I do like Markelle Fultz. He's just
but he's just not in the same.
Yeah, he's an entirely different category than those three.
Exactly.
The other three are the three most popular guys on the slate right now.
You want to get to Denver here?
Yeah.
All right. So Jamal Murray. So how are you playing this one then? Because he was probable earlier in the day, along with Jokic, along with Gordon, along with KCP. And now he's the only one that's being considered questionable for like injury management purposes. Do you think we see him out there today? Because that could make a difference.
Was he probable earlier? Because I had seen him questionable like at 1:30 or something.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure before I did the strategy show, when I was putting the run sheet together, they were all probable, but I could be wrong.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he's in until I see that he's not. Oh, no, you're right. As of at 12:30, he was probable. Now he's questionable.
Right. So that's a little weird.
Yeah, that's not ideal. If he's out, it's going to make Jokic look better. It's going to make Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. look a little bit better. You're probably going to get Bruce Brown in the starting lineup, I would assume, and he's going to look better. So it will open some stuff up for you. But you should be getting to enough plays from Minnesota, Denver, and then from the late game that it's going to be easy enough to swap around, I think. So I'm not overly concerned about it from a strategy standpoint. It's just going to be, having to be ready to late swap if he gets ruled out. Jokic looks great no matter what. Highest projected guy on the slate, 11-6, certainly a reasonable price tag. Matchup gets even better if Gobert is out, but also don't care at all if Gobert's playing. So love getting to Jokic. Think it's pretty easy too, given the value on the slate. Murray would be my second option if he's in, followed by Gordon and Porter. If he's out, again, Gordon, Porter, Brown are all going to look better.
How much Jokic do you want right now?
As much as I can get.
Okay. It's going to result in some interesting lineups for sure.
I mean, so the issue is just you kind of get this is why I don't like this slate all that much from just like thinking it's fun strategy wise standpoint. It's just so easy to get to him. Like you put in Sumner because he's completely mispriced. You put in Thomas because he's mispriced. You put in Ingram because he's mispriced. You put in Anderson and then like either Jones or McDaniels. And it's just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just going to fall on Jokic because there's not really much else to do.
Let's wrap this up then. Unless you got anything else for Denver, we can go to OKC and the Lakers.
No, I think this game's actually interesting.
Okay. Yeah, it is interesting. You know what else is interesting? The fact that all of you who are pissed off because you're not in the PrizePicks eligible state. What's interesting is you're definitely in an MGM, BetMGM eligible state. And that means that you get we do this because we want you guys to win. We're like, okay, we'll do this. We'll talk to MGM. We'll talk to PrizePicks. Be like, all right, listen, you got your promos. We got ours. Let's get together here because we want people to use our tools and we want them to win money. I know people win them. Like we got a brand new Stokastic Hall of Fame segment coming up. Some big winners, multiple 20K winners, some big winners across the board from the last week. They got the free month that way. They finished top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. They were rocking the Stokastic avatar, stokastic.com/avatar, by the way. And they want it that way. That's awesome. And you get inducted in the Hall of Fame. God, that picture of Eric, just traumatizing. It's awesome, but it's also like that is not the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is saying, all right, I got 2 minutes and $10. I'm just going to use the link that Jordan hopefully put in chat or the one in the description. And I'm going to sign up. I'm going to put a $10 bet down on whatever I want. And when that bet settles, I've got a free month. And then I can maybe get another free month with the Stokastic Hall of Fame because now I got all the tools to win. And it doesn't matter if I'm entering the quarter arcade, the and one, or whatever it is. It doesn't matter as long as it's the field of 5,000 or more. So yeah, you're getting it regardless. You just put a $10 bet down when you use the link and you follow the simple steps to take 2 minutes to sign up. Put it on anything. Use Adam's Bet Pro video today on OddsShopper. Find your favorite prop from his video. Throw it down. Win that. Get your money. It settles. Get the free month. All of our tools across every single sport. So, yeah, pretty sick. Oh, and if you lose, you still get the free month, but you also get all of your money back up to $1,000 in bonus bets with BetMGM's first bet insurance. Just, icing on the cake at this point. So check it out. So $10, you get it back. 50, get it back. 100 or 1,000, up to 1,000, you get it back. That and the free month. $10 is all you need. 2 minutes of time. Get all our stuff for free. And of course, must be 21 years or older to gamble. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Oklahoma City. Let's get into this one before we turn the page to live before lock. Aaron Wiggins, man, 18%. You got to love when he's a relatively popular value play. It's a horrifying thought.
Yeah, I don't get that one either. I assume he's going to start, which means like 24, 25 minutes. He had pretty regularly been playing 28 plus as a starter this year, but we've consistently been seeing him not start the second half now. So I think it's difficult to project him for more than that. It makes him look like a decent point per dollar option still, and it is a good matchup, but I just think he's going a little bit over-owned here. I don't think going down to him gets you that much else in your lineup. Like I was saying before, you can get to Jokic just by using like the forwards that are around 5K. You don't have to drop down to Aaron Wiggins and, hope that he runs into a big game. So if that ownership comes down, then sure, I'm interested because it is a good matchup and he is cheap. But if he's going to get similar ownership to guys like McDaniels and Anderson and Jones, I'm just going to play them because they project better. And I don't think you're getting that much extra by going down to Wiggins. Josh Giddey makes sense at 7,900, should give you 30 to 32 minutes in a good matchup. I once again like a very low owned SGA here. He has been relatively disappointing in most of these games without Lou Dort, but the usage rate has been up. Like we said, overall now he's played 6 games without him, 34.5% usage rate, 1.45 DraftKings points per minute. He's had some really disappointing shooting games in those games as well. So I get why he's getting less ownership than, Morant, who's less expensive, and guys like that. But I like getting the SGA in the spot on a 6-game slate. Just getting somebody that good at only 4.5% ownership is pretty appealing. If you want to roll the dice on $3,100 Jalen Williams, if he's starting, that's okay. Obviously, you're not going to be too confident there because he also could very easily not start the second half. But it's pretty much the same as usual. Giddey and SGA are the guys I like. Aaron Wiggins is getting a lot of ownership. I would prefer him if you were getting less. Either of the other Jalen Williams are whatever, but nothing that I'm really excited about getting to.
Let's wrap it up. LA Lakers. Yep. LeBron James needs 36 points to become the all-time points leader in the NBA. Problem is he's got a decent amount of time to do it. And I said to Josh, I was like, if this was, I would honestly feel different about this. I'm not trying to get too crazy, but I would feel different about it if they had this game at home and then a stretch of road games. But they play the Bucks on Thursday, man. Like, it's at home. He doesn't need to, like, if you want to do this in LA, he's going to get there next game if he doesn't get there this game, and the next game's at home. I'm just throwing it out there, right? Like, if you're playing him just because of this, maybe it happens. Maybe he does want the 38-point game, right? The massive celebration and a huge performance. Well, and it is a good matchup, no doubt. But I don't think you go into this one just assuming it's a lock for him to get there, Adam, when you got a home game coming up against the Bucks.
Right. I was talking about this with Josh earlier. The only way I can see it making an impact in this game is, let's say he's at like 32 points with 3 minutes left. Sure,
totally
maybe
different.
Right. Maybe he just make sure he gets those extra 5.
And Westbrook will take every shot in the final 3 minutes.
It'll turn into playoff down the stretch Westbrook, where he just starts chucking threes.
Threes.
But yeah, like, that's the only way I can really see it mattering. It's not like, this isn't like the Kobe game. It's not like LeBron James is retiring tomorrow and he needs 36 points to set the record. In that case, yeah, you could just pencil him in for 36 plus. It would certainly happen. But here, I just expect him to play a normal game. And if he gets 36, he gets it. If he doesn't, he'll do it next game. Even from a narrative standpoint, if you go back and look at his last 2 games, he had a lower usage rate in those 2 games than he's had since January 12th. Which makes sense because you have Anthony Davis playing more minutes, but it's not like he's pushing, hard to get this or anything. And even to your point, like, yeah, if they were going on the road or something, yeah, maybe he wants to do it at home. I don't know. But to me, outside of the last minute consideration, LeBron's a good play because he's LeBron. There's nothing special about this spot. from a fantasy standpoint, I don't think. And that being said, I think Anthony Davis is a better play. The only thing working against him is that he's center only, but he's $700 less expensive. I like him to score more fantasy points than LeBron here. He's getting like not quite half or a little bit more than half the ownership, but certainly less. Those are the only two guys that I'm interested in from the Lakers, but I'm actually more interested in Davis than LeBron.
Is there anything else viable for the Lakers, or is it really just these two tonight?
I don't think so. I mean, you're getting Austin Reeves back. That's another body in the rotation. I think I saw somebody in chat ask about Dennis Schroeder earlier. Like, he's 5,300. He has a 14% usage rate this year when he starts alongside Davis and LeBron. I really just don't see anything outside of those two.
Hey, you can follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS on Twitter. Follow me at Lofty_D, LOUGHY_D. Shout out to Jordan Klein getting the steps in today, up north of almost at 6,000. The man who thought he was doing 300 steps a day, about to be featured on a fucking TLC show. No, sir. He's back at it. We love him for it. Greg and Eric are coming up next. Appreciate you guys. 600 likes, well, 591, but I'll chalk it up as 600 because I know it's coming down the pike. Good luck tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Deeper Dive presented by PrizePicks. Yo, it's that time of week again. We're back to induct you fine people into the Hall of Fame right here at Stokastic.com and give out some Stokastic Plus Platinum memberships, $120 value. All you need to do to get involved, get yourself up here, get the free month, is go to Stokastic.com/avatar, download the avatar, use it wherever you play. And when you win, finish top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. Tweet your wins at Stokastic HOF on Twitter, at Stokastic Hall of Fame. Get your free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum, and I'll induct you right here every single week. And we got some great ones today, kicking it off with Mike Jasbeck. Yet another reason why Stokastic DFS is the best of the best. Tools are second to none. They provide absolute best content out there. Shout out to all the guys who do the live shows. Keep the amazing content coming, fellas, and thanks for all you do. $20,000 win, second place in the Thursday NBA shot. Great way to kick this one off. But also, how about Avi? Avi's always hanging out with us, been kind and generous with his super chats over the years. We appreciate you. I know who you are, man. Thanks for the tips. Biggest win of my life, $20,000. Another second place in the NBA shot. And then you got our boy Greg Ehrenberg going back to back. Spent most of the night complaining about DFS slate, turned the games off to go to bed, woke up to find the slate actually wasn't bad. $5,000. How about that? First place in the NBA shot. And then Greg Ehrenberg again. The people who thought I could only win with 600 lineups are in shambles. I came in first in a 20 max entry contest last night with only 40 lineups. What are the haters going to say this time? Shout out to our boy Greg. You'll see him right after this on Live Before Live. And then Smitty, 1,850, a very simple man at Stokastic Hall of Fame. Nice win there, man. Matt Fukuda at Stokastic actually ran good tonight. Thanks, Greg and Neil and the entire Stokastic crew. $1,600 win over there on DraftKings. Shout out to you, Matt. And also to Zachary Williamson. Stat correction placed me above a 7-man train. $500 swing. Took second place in the end one. That's huge. Followed up by Kenny Herron. Shout out to the entire Stokastic team, but especially Josh Ingram. And Josh getting the personalized shout out for the process show. Yep, 6:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. And Greg killing it every day on Live Before Live. Give me that free month. You got it, brother. First place in the hot shot, $750. And then how about we've got Jim McCorkle. I love the tools and the shows. I'm really starting to see the results. Almost got to the top of the mountain. It's been a while. Thanks to Stokastic. Hey, still enough to get you in the door. 252nd in the NHL hip check. Followed up by Pete Prado. Holy crap, on the first day I purchased and used the lineup generator. You guys rock. So $30 win here, but guess what? $120 subscription. Free. And inducted in the Hall of Fame for Pete here. Four times what he just made on that. But look at it. Lineup generator, first day. Throws some entries into the quarter jukebox and takes down first place. Great stuff, Pete. And Pedro, I love seeing this. The NBA Bet Pro tools, brand new. The first week is entirely free. Pedro says, thanks to Stokastic. Hit this parlay last night. Best tool in the game is NBA Bet Pro. 51 in the 720, 4-leg parlay. And then Pedro hits us with another one. NBA Bet Pro on point. Thanks to Stokastic. $10 into $1,600 parlay. What are we looking at? 7 legs in that one? Yeah. Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. And we close it with the professor. Trust the projections. Thanks to the team. Solid win during a little fantasy slump. This dude just went on an absolute tear with the parlays. Shout out to the professor and everybody else. Welcome to the Stokastic Hall of Fame. You've now been inducted. Collect your free subscriptions for the month. And remember, download the Stokastic avatar at stokastic.com.
I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Does my volume sound okay, by the way, Jordan?
Yeah, great timing for it now. Get in the count.
I mean, he told me he was gonna tell me, and then we never really got to it, so I didn't know. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Stokastic NBA Live Before Lock Show. Eric, myself, we're gonna be breaking down the slate, and this is gonna be an interesting one. We have so many players on the injury report. It's only a 6-game slate, but there's just a lot of shit going on right here for us to get down to. So as you guys come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know Eric's going to be excited because have you seen who the sponsor is today?
I did. I'm very, very excited about it.
The Double P PrizePicks. So we're going to be talking about them as we go. We got some good offers. Going to tell you guys how to get a sign up bonus from there, as well as a good way to get some free access to the tools we have over at the site. As for the players on the injury report, LeBron James, I assume once again, this is Fugazi. Are you on the same page as me?
Yes.
So that one I think is fake. The other injuries, though, DeMar DeRozan is questionable. Jamal Murray is questionable. DeJounte Murray is questionable. Rudy Gobert is questionable. RJ Barrett is questionable. Kyle Anderson is questionable. Alex Caruso. So there's a little bit of a drop off there, but the Caruso one becomes, significant if DeRozan is ruled out and Caruso is also to be ruled out. Are these injuries by and large part things outside of LeBron that we are really taking seriously?
Yeah, but outside of LeBron, we're taking all of them seriously at this point. I mean, the Bulls are on a back-to-back. That kind of creates its own little situation. DeJounte Murray, I just saw it come up there. Game time decision now with the migraine deal. Cool, great talk. Trae Young 9,400 already looks good. So I think regardless, I'm probably going to be getting to a little bit of that. As you go around and look at Jamal Murray, he's one of my favorite plays on the slate. If it started now, I'd say Kyle Anderson, one of my favorite plays on the slate. If it started now, they're both questionable in the same game. And I think their ownership is just reduced by the Q tags. So there's some really good advantageous spots to get to if these guys are ruled in. There's specific players I want to get to, those two specifically. But then, I mean, there's just RJ Barrett, who I assume he's fine, but now that's in the very first game of the session. And well, how many other Knicks do we really want to add to the portfolio and use up lineup spots, knowing that if Kyle Anderson sits, if Jamal Murray sits, I mean, Bruce Brown, next door free square, we've got 2 free squares in Brooklyn. There's just so many things going on with the slate for just a 6-gamer. I think it's intriguing, but also I say that knowing full well that it's just, it could get really ugly really quick if you guess wrong.
So that's what I have rooting interests for the injuries.
Okay.
So the way I hope it breaks, I hope we find out RJ Barrett's, and just for the reasons you said before, because if he's ruled out, then we have to kind of start to do some guesswork, right? Do we want to play Emmanuel quickly? Do we want to try to prioritize Julius Randle? If Barrett's in, it is simple. If Barrett plays, I'm just gonna forego the first game of the slate and just wait for more news. That's what I'm hoping happens, and I feel like that's a fairly easy decision for me to make if Barrett is in. Much harder to do if he's out. So kind of like we were talking about before, and like we always talk about when it comes to the late news. But if Barrett was to play, is there anything you'd feel like you would have to go to from the first game, or would we be cool just crossing it off and waiting for the rest of the news and playing it as a 5-gamer?
Yeah, RJ Barrett. I would play him. I think the Q tag gives you some kind of reduction in the ownership. We haven't projected around 17%. He's 6,300. He can play upwards of 41, 44 minutes. We've seen the last two. It's small forward eligible. I think he's a guy that I would want to get to if he's in. If he's out, I don't even know how I go about putting together the rest of this basketball team, what I want to get to, probably some Emmanuel quickly. Jalen Brunson's decent, but like not a must-have here in the front end of it. I did bet the over on his points, so that's cool. But 8,500 for him, starting to get a little bit steeper. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's probably the least appealing of the injury spots as far as like what else shows up. But like RJ Barrett himself becomes a play that I would want to get to if he's ruled in.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. For me, I'm probably not going to, just because I want to leave myself the roster spots.
Yeah.
But also, who knows? We get other players ruled in, ruled out in the coming time. But I do want to read off some of the most popular plays on the slate, because we have some aggressive chalk going to aggressive chalk. And I understand why a lot of these players are as chalky as they are. So I'm going to read off the 3 most popular players on DraftKings first, and then we'll talk about FanDuel afterwards. But as far as DraftKings goes, 3 players project for north of 50% ownership. And they're the only 3 players on the entire slate even project for more than 30% ownership for this 6-gamer. On DK, Edmund Sumner, 65% owned. Brandon Ingram, 57% owned. And then we've got Cameron Thomas projected for 57% ownership. Those are the ownership projections we have right now over at Stokastic.com. And if you guys want to sign up for a platinum pass right now, it's 50% off anything you want as your first sign up when you haven't used our site yet. So you get the Stokastic Platinum Pass, which is going to cover all of the DFS sports out there. Or if you're just somebody who plays NBA, you can get an NBA package. If you want your lineups just built for you, of our NBA lineup generator package, now it's super, super useful tool, less than $10. And then you're taking 50% off your first week on that as well. So you get that for really cheap. If any of that interests you guys, sign up using the link below to get 50% off. And that is going to include our ownership that we're talking about right now as part of our NBA package and part of our platinum package. What do you make of these players being so popular, like Sumner, Ingram, Cam Thomas? Do you have any issues with these ownerships?
If you get Sumner and Thomas both starting, sweet. If you get one of them starting with the reinsertion of Ben Simmons into the starting lineup, if that ends up being the way that they go and they don't bring him off the bench, I'm going to have a problem with whoever doesn't start. And my guess is that Edmund Sumner gets the start and then Ben Simmons does as well. Like if I had to do my best guess, I'm not super confident in it, but Edmund Sumner's 27. He isn't really like an asset for anything the Nets could turn something into. Cameron Thomas maybe played himself into some elevated status the last 2 games. Absolute walking heat check in 29 and then 39 minutes against the Clippers. Clippers still cover. That was nice. But Edmund Sumner, I think they just give him, the minutes and let him run there regardless, because they're not really trying to flip him tomorrow to Thursday into anything. Maybe Cam Thomas can show up to something, because like, if you're the Nets, are you going to keep Kevin Durant? I would assume you want to keep Kevin Durant. You can try to figure things out this summer come June to try to renegotiate something. And I would try to add something around him, and maybe Cam Thomas gives them access to it. Maybe Cam Thomas, they see as that guy. I don't necessarily. He played great the last 2 games. That does not make a good player make. I assume Sumner, though, at 4,100 is the piece that I can't get away from. I'm going to sound like an idiot. It's the same way I felt about Hardy yesterday. I didn't think Hardy started. He ends up not starting. He smashes anyway. I think if Cameron Thomas comes off the bench, I'm going to be very, very low, because people don't want to swap. And I don't believe that he's going to be a guy who puts up 35, 40 a night going forward.
No, certainly not. I don't think he's going to. So let me find the middle ground here. I'm still going to, he could be a very good play without scoring 40 points.
Right. I have 34% of him right now with the assumption that he doesn't start and that he plays 27 minutes. I will change that. Go ahead.
So I think he does start.
Okay.
I think Simmons starts as well. I think Joe Harris goes back to the bench.
No, that would make sense. For me, I thought Joe Harris would maybe just stay there, because again, I think they have to move his salary. He's making $18 million a year. He's got to be a piece that if you're going to be flipping anything out of there to get OG Anunoby to add to the Brooklyn team, if you're going to be adding a piece there, you have to move Joe Harris's salary. He's like the only guy that I think, and then they have 2028 picks that are sitting in the wings. I did a lot of looking into Brooklyn today just because I thought, at least thinking about the trade deadline thing, maybe it's just an exercise that's fun because I like the NBA, but like they've got those picks from Philadelphia in the James Harden trade that they can use as assets. But Joe Harris's salary is very, very important if they're going to be moving any pieces and make it work. So I think you could just give him unlimited run and not really care, because I don't think he's going to be a part of this fabric of the team going forward.
Yeah, and that's also something. Here's what kind of gets annoying about games this week, because we've seen stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't even think about it at the time when we were talking about Christian Wood on the slate yesterday, and you and I were going back and forth, but we were doing with them. we didn't consider that it's been made very public that the Mavericks are not considering.
Don't like him.
They don't want to play. They don't want to hold him past the trade deadline. I do think there's a lot of players that we have to think will either just sit, like not even be on the injury report, but not play, or play reduced minutes, kind of like what happened with Christian Wood yesterday. I think Joe Harris is one of those guys. The other one that I think could happen to today is Russell Westbrook.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great call. And one of my favorite tournament plays on this slate, not to spoil it going forward, though, is Anthony Davis. 10-5 for him. What is he pulling? 12.7% ownership. I also like LeBron. It's not even just that, but the game environment is fantastic. The Lakers kind of create that themselves. And yeah, they're both priced for it there. And I think LeBron, I've gone back and forth all day about, last night I kind of quick hook trigger bet LeBron James over 32.5. It dropped to 31.5. I played it again. Now I'm just in too deep. I'm trying to keep my head up above instead of going under. That's some 41 for everybody. But LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I think just in that game environment make a lot of sense. And I like that call. Like I would be a huge proponent of them not having a absolute stat hog like Russell Westbrook out on the floor, sharing it with those two. He's at a point guard position. He is 7,200. I did have a little bit of exposure to Russell Westbrook in the event that they, what are they going to do? They're going to show off Russell Westbrook. That's always like the dumbest thing to me come around the trade deadline. Like Russell Westbrook, I think we can establish with, the sample size and everything else. He's not showing off for anybody here leading into the deadline. So I like your call that hopefully he gets reduced run. I'm actually going to just take him out of my pool now.
Yeah, no. And it's one of those things like, I don't want to waste my time becoming another casualty of society. So
my God.
Some 40. I want to make sure that I'm backing up with some 41 lyrics.
Man, you're great.
But also it's one of those things where, because I feel like it happened to us yesterday and you and I were texting and we did lower our exposure to Christian Wood, but it was something that in hindsight, I wish I would have just brought up on the show, where just like some of these guys who I think could become just casualties of the trade deadline and see some of their,
I did say not to play him if he didn't start. I still ended up with like 18% because I couldn't unload all of it. But when he didn't start, it was pretty clear that he wasn't going to play as many minutes. I still thought there was a chance he could run rampant in 26, 28 minutes. He didn't even play 20. So that was a problem.
Yeah. And once again, I think Joe Harris could be one of those guys today. I think that Russell Westbrook is potentially one of those guys, and definitely something that weighs on me as I'm looking at some of these rotations and trade rumors. So that's one of the other reasons too that I don't think Joe Harris starts today. Now we'll see. The starting lineup is going to come out, sometime in the near future. That game locks at 7:30 Eastern time. So Eric and I are going to be on during whenever that lineup comes out, because Slate locks in 41 minutes, but Eric and I, we're going to be sticking around for the last 30 minutes as per usual. We're going to be looking at NBA Bet Pro. We're going to be looking at some of our favorite PrizePicks plays, who are the sponsor of today's show, and another way to get all our tools super, super easy. Sign up for PrizePicks using our link, because when you do, you're going to get a couple of things, $100 bonus on your first deposit. And in addition to that, you're going to get 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. So player projections, ownership projections, boom bust tool, the lineup generator, everything you guys need to build winning NBA DFS lineups. You can get that for free after signing up at PrizePicks using our link. Now, if anybody has questions in Discord, throw those in. If we have any super chats come in, we'll answer those as well. But just while we're on the topic of PrizePicks, Eric, and I know it's right over your shoulder, you're somebody who frequents the PrizePicks streets. Do you have any PrizePicks props that you like today? If you don't, that's okay. But just figure we talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke and then my brain frazzled. One thing that I'm pretty positive I do not like on PrizePicks is not incorporating the taco. You have to play the taco. Nikola Jokic at 20.5 points. I don't care what you think about props. It is absolute fugazi ridiculousness that people feel weird about tacos and about boosts and about everything else. Now, some sports books do it predatory in a way where it's like, oh, look at us boost this bad line into like not as bad of a line. But on PrizePicks, it's very clear cut. The Nikola Jokic 20.5 points has to be on your card. And one of my favorite things that I've started to do is I've started to encapsulate very, very early when news breaks, like somebody like DeJounte Murray gets downgraded. I've been just packaging players from the same game to just have massive correlation with some of these tacos. And for just $20, you can get access to like a $500 payout when you go 6 out of 6 by putting John Collins 26.5 fantasy score. I think that's a smash. Trae Young up to 45.5. If you don't have DeJounte Murray, just have the betting card in the queue. And as soon as the news drops, click the place entry button. So that's what I've started to do on PrizePicks. It's been very, very nice for me. I'm still counting the days till baseball when I can go back to my home run trios, and that's going to be a lot of fun. But for the time being, I've only hit two 6 of 6s out of probably 30, 35 different cards in the last 2 weeks. And I'm slightly profitable. So like, I do think that I'm onto something as far as the correlation in the game stack. I've talked about it a number of times here. Just over 6% of games go to overtime. But if you can revolve it around a massive piece of news like DeJounte Murray, that's really another way to go about it. And especially if you like John Collins, like I do, over 26.5 fantasy score, it already sets up nicely.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull up NBA Bet Pro right now because that, for me, is an easy way to look at some of the props. Also, I don't have access to PrizePicks in New Jersey, so it just helps me to look at NBA Bet Pro. And then after that, we're going to look at some of the most roster players on FanDuel for tonight and see how they stack up against some of the most roster players we just talked about on DraftKings. Now, there's going to be some similarities, but some differences as well. So looking at our projections right now, the number one prop that we have on the board tonight is Ja Morant under 7 rebounds. 7 rebounds is a pretty high number for Ja Morant. I like the under on that. So it's going up against Chicago Bulls. So a bit of a down pace matchup. If you look at the total for the game, it is high, but most Memphis Grizzlies games have high totals. But also, look at Ja Morant for the year. He's averaging under 6 rebounds per game. I know he's had some bigger rebound games as of late, but this is going to regress to some extent, especially because we got guys like Desmond Bane is back. And remember, like Jaren Jackson Jr. had missed time. I know that Steven Adams is still out, but still, we're going to see some reduction in rebounds for Ja Morant. And that's where I think the 7 number, a little bit inflated for a guy who's averaging under 6 rebounds per game. So is that a number you can get behind, under 7 boards for Morant?
Yeah, I looked at it a little bit earlier today. Steven Adams is obviously the major piece there. I mean, when you take him off the floor, Ja Morant goes to a 10% rebound rate. So, I mean, for me, that's not all that appealing. Ja Morant traditionally been around like 9%, but again, is it that big of a difference? Probably not. Yeah, 9.5 as opposed to 10.3% with Steven Adams off the floor. So is that 1% going to matter that much over the course of a game? I don't think it should. We've obviously seen him start to rebound the ball a lot here of late, but I'm with you. I don't think that that's going to be sustainable here. It's been a little bit irrational seeing 10, 10, 9, 8 out of him in recent games. That is certainly due to regress.
Yeah. So that's one that really stands out to me. And then looking through some of our other projections, like we have Rui projected well for under rebounds, but I'm hesitant on that just because of what I said about Russell Westbrook before. I wouldn't be shocked if Russell Westbrook is a DNP or plays limited minutes, and that would just benefit the counting stats of all the Lakers players. So the Rui one I'm okay with staying away from. And then we've also got Trae Young, another one. His under assist looks good, but that's also dependent on DeJounte Murray. Like if DeJounte Murray plays, I would like the under assist for Trae Young. DeJounte Murray sits, I wouldn't want to be. I'd actually like the over for Trae Young in that kind of scenario.
I agree.
So there's a handful of ones. So if you guys are looking at BetPro, just always take note of the NBA injury reports as well, because that does sometimes impact some of the players, like Zach LaVine props tonight. Vucevic props, also ones that are impacted by DeMar DeRozan. So always try to keep tabs on what's going on with the NBA injuries. Now, Eric, let's talk about the FanDuel most rostered players, and I'm going to refresh the ownership page right now just to see what that looks like. And in the meantime, we did get a super chat here from Jonathan Bennett. I just started doing 150 lineups. Do you upload your lineups and enter contests so it doesn't fill? And then how do you crunch and replace them? So this is probably going to be an easier answer if you DM me on Twitter. I could walk you through it, but it's going to be easiest if I do, because a lot of people, this is probably the most common question I get asked about Fantasy Cruncher. What I usually do is I screen record on my computer, and then I'll just send you the video, and I do it like piece by piece each step I do. And then any questions you have as I go, you can just say like, hey, I don't understand this. It's, at least for me, easier to show you with the visual and the pictures than explaining it verbally. Do you have anything that you would add to that, Eric? If not, I mean, we could just tell them also really quickly how to do
I
it.
can tell you. I'll try to explain it as best I can. So, I mean, regardless of if the slate starts or not, you're still able to go to the late Swaptimize lineups button. It's at the top of your.
Sorry.
Yeah, I saw that. But slates and games, advanced options, upload data, and then late Swaptimizer is up there. You're going to upload your CSV. And I think the most important thing you can make sure of is like, there are a lot of people who like to play the same lineup in like 4 or 5 contests. And then they come back to me and they're like, oh, well, the lineup that I hand built out, I didn't want to change everything there. You can change it based on the number of lineups, or you can change it based on every single entry. So it's a very specific, nuanced little difference. Make sure that if you want to keep the same lineups together and you want to just see 5 entries in this lineup and 2 in this one, if you're going to put the same lineups in like the $4 and the $1 or whatever you want to do, make sure that you have it based on based on unique lineups. And then you'll have it as entries in the event that you want to just have 1, 1, 1, 1 everywhere, like it's binary.
Yeah. And then also post lock is all, because that's something else that a lot of people run into. Post lock is super easy to do in Fantasy Crunch. You just go to your lineups on DraftKings, export them, and then you just click the late swap optimizer button on DraftKings, upload that CSV, and you just click another button, and it reruns all of your lineups with updated projections. So that's how you do it for post lock as well. But once again, if you have any questions with it at all, we do have some tutorials on how to use Fantasy Cruncher on the YouTube channel, but some people just like me to walk them through, and they ask questions as we go. Robert Permutula has a question for us. 2 best value plays and 2 best pay-up options for FanDuel Cash. So I did also promise that we talk about the most rostered players on FanDuel right now, and they are Edmund Sumner, also somebody who's really popular on DraftKings. We talked about him, Brandon Ingram. The other one, though, LeBron James, who is different looking on FanDuel as compared to DraftKings, because on FanDuel, LeBron is only 10,300. He, to me, is the best pay-up option overall on FanDuel at 10.3. Would you agree with that? I actually think, if anything, he's going under-owned on FanDuel.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so I love paying up for LeBron today. And that is also going to go to the question that we got from Robert. We said, who are the 2 best values and 2 best pay-up options for FanDuel Cash? One of them is LeBron. You got to go to LeBron. And the other pay-up option, if we're considering a pay-up option, it's Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, those are your 2 best pay-up options. As far as value goes, Edmund Sumner. I think you definitely want to play Edmund Sumner in cash. As for another value play, what are we considering value here?
I don't know. Anything under 6K on FanDuel, mainly because you don't have to get down to the bottom of the depths there. Obviously, Ingram is in your cash lineup, and then if he's out, you just play Herbert Jones and Trey Murphy and the third and CJ McCollum. You just get to as many pieces of that as you can. But I don't know. As far as value goes, Cameron Thomas is 6,500. They're the one site that actually did something about the fact that he's put up infinity fantasy points the last couple slates. I really like John Collins. He's at 5,600 there on FanDuel. He's probably in that category of Christian Wood that we just talked about, where I don't think they like him. I don't think a lot of people like John Collins. He's been on the trade block, it feels like, for 2 years or something like that. But if he ends up playing here, and obviously I would like to see DeJounte Murray be out there, but even if he isn't, I still think 5,600 is just a little bit too low for him going up against the Pellies here.
Yeah, and the other one too, if just to answer his question as he stated,
my
cash,
2 favorite pay-up
options. Yeah, my 2 favorite pay-up options: Brandon Ingram, LeBron James. Value options, I'll say Tillman and Sumner for cash.
Yeah, and Tillman, it's not all that enthusiastic for tournaments. For cash, you're just playing the blocker. That's fine.
Yeah, and something else. I mean, Tillman, power forward and center eligible.
Oh yeah, that's nice on FanDuel.
Yeah, power forward and center. And then the other thing too is I think this is a Tillman matchup. Sometimes it's Clark, sometimes it's Tillman going up against Vooch. I presume that's a Tillman game. Is that what you assume as well?
I do.
All right, let's.
I'd be surprised if he didn't start. DeJounte Murray in too.
DeJounte Murray in, and then we've got RJ Barrett in. And DeMar DeRozan rolled out. So DeRozan is going to, DeRozan's the most important one, right? Because Murray being in, not really going to change that much for us. And RJ Barrett being in, we already talked about that one. Eric getting to Barrett. I'm going to be more apt to just kind of forego the first game of the slate. And I was looking for more stuff to open up, such as DeMar DeRozan being ruled out. So that is now news that we have at our disposal. So my instant, by the way, did we get Caruso news here also? Great game time decision, Caruso. I was going to say, because that matters as well. What happened?
This Bulls situation is really, really hard because Memphis, best defensive team in adjusted defensive rating this season. Vooch is 9K now. LaVine 8,300, but LaVine obviously a trade piece, but like you want to play these guys anyway. I mean, it's got a 233.5 total. This is just kind of a messy situation. Do we get any Caruso news packaged with that? Game time decision.
Yeah,
great.
game time. So Caruso, another one who's on the trade block, and I think he's more likely to sit than play, just considering he's not 100%. He's somebody the Bulls have been, linked to trading him. I know it's somebody who we've seen the Denver Nuggets are talking about Bones Highland and a first-round pick for Alex Caruso as a potential swap. I've been reading that in a couple articles. So don't know this for sure, but my educated guess that Caruso does not end up playing. Now, if we look at the numbers this year for the Chicago Bulls with no DeMar DeRozan on the court, Vooch, 24.3% usage rate, Zach LaVine, 31.8%. So LaVine, that leads to 43.18 DraftKings points per 36 minutes over on FanDuel, 41.01. And then Vooch, 49.56 DraftKings points per 36 minutes, sans DeMar DeRozan. And then over on FanDuel, good for 48.87. So Vooch is the player who's seen the bigger boost without DeRozan on the court this year.
Yeah. Shit. I mean, it's not about Vooch. Vooch is fine. I'm going to play Vooch. But like Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, Goran Dragic, like what are we doing here with the other guys? Like this is just a cluster.
Yeah, well, those guys too are going to be very, very dependent on Caruso. Like I said, though, my intuition here is that Caruso doesn't play.
I'm with you. I just took him out too.
Yeah, so that's where I'm leaning here.
They're kind of short on. I mean, they have Dalen Terry that can, play 8 minutes or whatever they need. Dragic also just has been, nothing, and I don't know. He's played 15-minute blowout run the last game. So on a back-to-back, do you even play Dragic? It's so weird. I'm gonna end up with way too much Kobe White. I can already tell you.
4 minutes for Dalen Terry in each of the last two games. I'm not going to pretend I know who he is, but he's played 4 minutes in each of the last two games.
Okay. Well, I was just going through active bodies and like doing a body count for the purposes of it's a back-to-back. I think that's why the whole thing is just a cluster is like, if you're going to be moving Caruso, you're looking at moving LaVine. Maybe they limit LaVine's minutes and now he's going to be super popular as he probably should be. 8,300. God, I wish I had bet his points prop earlier today.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously now it looks really good. I'm trying to remember when he got added to the injury report. Was it the 130 injury report?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if only we were so smart, then we would have been all over that.
By the way, LaVine is at 26.5 points on PrizePicks still. Play more.
Yeah. You don't have to whisper it. You could tell the people.
Play more. 26.5 points. Zach LaVine said it with my chest. There you go.
There we go. Zach LaVine over 26.5 points over at PrizePicks. You guys haven't signed up there yet. Use our link. Get up to $100 bonus on your deposit and 1 free month of Stokastic plus Platinum. So I'm with you, Kobe White. Although, let's also play the other side of the coin. If Alex Caruso gets ruled in that scenario, what would you be doing with these cheap Bulls guards?
Then my life becomes a lot better than what I think it would be in the event that he sits. Like, I just wouldn't play them and I would be okay. But otherwise, my night is probably going to hinge on Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White, which is not fun. We'll put it that way. It's not a whole lot of fun.
I'm just looking at Vooch. He clearly gets a boost, right? We talked about that, how he gets with him only being center eligible in his price tag. I have a feeling when I rerun lineups, I'm not going to get to a massive.
So I'm updating everything as fast as I can. I'm also trying to update people in the premium Discord over here. For whatever reason, Discord's just not pulling up for me very quickly, but I want to very, very badly not see as much Vooch because, well, I doubt I will, mainly because I loved Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic. And if we have unlimited salary and I'm going to start playing Kobe White and Ayo Dosunmu along with Cameron Thomas and Edmund Sumner, if they both start, like, I don't need to play Vooch at 9K who projects for 50 or, he's projecting for 41. I'm going to probably see, I'm just saying this because I haven't reran my stuff, but like, let's say he projects for 47. Okay. I still am going to just get to way more Jokic and Davis.
Yeah, that's more or less what I was saying, but in different terms, where it's just really with him only being center eligible, even if he's the player that gets the biggest boost, I really do think it's going to be hard to prioritize him. Now he's going to go from probably being in no lineups to a couple lineups here and there, but Levine is going to be the player I get to way more of. But Levine is a high priority play for me now.
Agreed. It's going to be gross. It's going to be gross because, again, if you're going to ship him out tomorrow, could he play 32 minutes on a back-to-back? It's a dude with multiple knee surgeries too. Like, if I'm Chicago and I'm actively trying to move Levine, I do everything I can to limit his minutes today. He played 31 yesterday. They murdered San Antonio, which gave me hope for like the back-to-back. He's been playing back-to-backs anyway, so that's not necessarily what it is. I mean, he played the 23rd, 24th, 35, 38 minutes there, but like, you don't want the guy that's going to be a piece of your trade to get picks from the Lakers or to do something else. You do not want him getting hurt against Memphis tonight. So just throwing it out there, something to think about.
I do wonder, and I know that DeRozan's name has also been in some trade rumors. The Bulls have been less shitty as of late because they have really sucked for a while. They are now 26 and 27. They're the 9 seed in the East. I wonder if this recent push has made them less apt.
The Bulls said they aren't moving Levine. Let me find that. People in chat keep saying Zach LaVine not getting moved by the Bulls.
Well, I mean,
find that quote.
Is it per is the reporter
per YouTube chat?
Yeah. Who in particular though?
I don't know. Just people are saying that.
Oh yeah, I think it's just people saying that. Chuck Deuces says they said they aren't moving their core 3. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. They're bad.
I mean, they've been. I mean, overall, 27. Overall, still haven't been great this year, but they're back in the playoff mix, which they were not at one point. Blitz has left us a super chat. Hiya, ever a chance Drummond plays alongside Vooch? They haven't done it much lately. There was a point in time, was it a month ago? They experimented with Vooch and Drummond together. It didn't really go particularly well. I know Drummond crushed last night. I am not playing him today. Are you chasing the points that Andre Drummond put up?
I have 0%. 0%. He's the worst play on the slate.
Oh, Eric has thrown down the worst play on the slate gauntlet.
If Caruso doesn't play, maybe I have to reassess where it's like, all right, like how many minutes does Drummond have a potential to play? And for me, it's more of like, I love Jokic. He's center. I am going to be spending up for him constantly here, but people point chase. He is 28% owned. What are we doing here? Do you know his minutes projection at Stokastic? 14. Dude's projected for just a hair over 14 minutes. I get it. He's a 1.36 fantasy point per minute player. It's a play that can always work out for you the way that it did yesterday if you play him at low ownership. It's a phenomenal play yesterday. Shout out to everybody who found themselves onto a 1% Andre Drummond. I was not one of those people. I will be damned if I play him at 28% today in this kind of a scenario where he's still limited, where I can't imagine there's going to be any spot unless there's massive foul trouble for Vooch. But that's the thing. You could do that with so many backup centers in the league. And I get Drummond's usually the one who has the highest fantasy point per minute rate out of all of them. But like, he is 28% owned. No, thank you.
I'm also going to be underweight to the field on Andre Drummond unless something crazy happens with the news going forward and the news that we're still waiting on. Officially, LeBron is questionable. Don't care about that news. I tend to think that's fake. Jamal Murray questionable. Rudy Gobert questionable. Kyle Anderson questionable. Alex Caruso questionable. The Caruso one, like Eric and I were saying, we both tend to think he's more likely to sit than play, but it is one that's going to impact the guard value from the Chicago Bulls quite a bit. Some more super chats. This one is from Shane Daly. Awesome that you guys go over and beyond for players. For example, helping the new guy playing 150 lineups. Respect and go Doors. Thank you for the super chat, Shane Daly, and thank you for the support. And by the way, anybody, the easiest way to support the show for free, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Couple clicks with the button. It's not going to cost you anything, but it does really help us grow the YouTube channel, helps keep our content free. So like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do appreciate it. I know there was more super chats here. Try not to scroll too fast because then the YouTube goes crazy. All right, here we go. Corey Shea. Favorite pay up and favorite values for DK GPP. So I have my lineups rerun now. Favorite pay up for me is Jokic.
By far.
Favorite value for me is Edmund Sumner. I know he's really popular, but I don't know how his salary went down from yesterday. But he was too cheap yesterday. It was $4,500. And I was a little concerned about his minutes in the first half because he was like 13 in the first half, and then he just played a shit ton in the second half and ended up playing really well. $4,100, too cheap. I think he's the best value play on the slate. So that's my answer. Best value, Edmund Sumner. Best pay up, Nikola Jokic. How about yourself, Eric?
Yeah, no, it's Sumner by leaps and bounds for me. Nikola Jokic, best spend up, leaps and bounds for me. If you want to move to other pieces, I don't even know where that would be. Oh my God, Derek Jones Jr. is pulling 36% ownership. What just happened with our projections? Is that real life?
Or is it just fantasy?
Caught in a landslide.
Escape from reality. So let's see. Derek Jones Jr. That does seem like a lot of ownership for him.
Yeah. And I'm trying to build out like my single entry stuff here too right now. And I just decided like I'm going to play Barrett when I'm building out for my 50 lineups in like MME, but like I cannot in good faith play anything else from the Knicks and Orlando at this given moment with all of the news waiting. So I will be waiting. You guys want to hang out for the half hour after lock. That Brooklyn starting lineup, I have a feeling it's different than what we think it's going to be. And then Chicago, Memphis, that is just such a massive piece of news. Hopefully we get that starting lineup too. But yeah, this Derek Jones thing is perplexing to me.
So I gave up my guess for the Nets starting five. Do you have a best guess then?
Best guess would be I'm going to stick with Edmund Sumner, Joe Harris, Ben Simmons, Royce O'Neal, Nick Claxton.
By the way, if Caruso gets ruled out, I actually am going to like Derek Jones Jr. for more DraftKings specific at min price.
Yeah. Does he look like a similar play to somebody that played on the slate yesterday at a flat 3K that we didn't talk about enough?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I had to roster one of the Bulls guys for cheap, I prefer Derek Jones Jr. to Andre Drummond. And I also think we're getting a little bit of leverage there because I think the more Jones plays, probably the less that Drummond plays. Mm-hmm. So at first glance, that looked like a lot. And then when I was just rerunning lineups, I am getting to Derek Jones Jr. here. So no, I think that he's warranted. And I think he's a pretty decent pivot off of Drummond.
Dude, Drummond, this is just wild. I'm going to be fading him. He's going to play 14 minutes and put up 35 in our eye hole. I just feel it coming.
Right in between the eyes. Were there more super chats here? I felt like there was. Let me see if Jordan messaged me some of them. If not, I know we've got questions in Discord to answer as well. And pulling that up at the moment. So questions that we have in Discord. This one is from Lippy. Lippy the legend, Eric Johnson. Do you remember how much Sam Hauser he played last night?
Yeah, 100%. Congratulations. Please back that money truck up to my house. That would be nice.
100%. So after he played 100%, actually, I kind of want to know if we could get like a heat check on Lippy in the Discord channel. Who's your random 100% guy of the night today?
Yeah. It's like my Joel Embiid last year, but like, you know, obviously drastically different because I couldn't get a CSV uploaded.
Yeah, I felt so on one hand, I felt like an idiot because I told him not to play 100% Sam Hauser. And then he goes absolutely just bonkers on the slate yesterday. But then also he was so confident, he didn't even give a shit what we had to say. He was like 100% Hauser anyway because he was messaging me on Twitter about it. But Lippy today says, why is SGA so damn low owned? He is a stud. It's just he's so expensive now that the opportunity cost of playing him, like he's not even that much more. He's not that much cheaper than like Nikola Jokic, for example.
So yeah, and Josh Giddey's starting to emerge with some usage. Like for me, that's kind of the interesting thing. I know Jalen Williams has been playing decent ball. Obviously, he's not going to be a high usage guy as much, but like my big thing is that Josh Giddey's had multiple performances here of late with like 30% usage. Even yesterday, 26.4% usage. If SGA isn't putting up 35, he's 10-8 now. And, you know, it's just difficult for me to go to him and click on that button, knowing that like you're not getting the kind of rebounding totals. Like he has almost no double-double potential. look at all the other guys at the top where it's just like, you're going to project them. Like right now, I project SGA for just a hair shy of 6.5 assists, 5.2 rebounds. I'm just not going to get to a guy like that at 10-8 when I think they're super scoring dependent as opposed to Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic. Like, what's his triple-double equity? He's minus 115 on DK today to triple-double. Just throwing it out there, exponentially better plays at the top end just because of that double-double bonus.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something that makes sense there. We're on the same page. And what was the... Oh, here, Jordan sent me the list of super chats. So let me just
Wait,
read
DeJounte out. What happened? What? Are we getting fake news?
We've got Brandon Whitney. I didn't see that DeJounte Murray was out.
Well, Ryan O'Connor, he looks like a real estate agent that should probably never be on this channel again. There we go.
How do you know what he looks like?
I don't know, because it had the little avatar. It had the little picture thing. And he looked like a person I would not want to hang out with. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I don't want to hang out with people who are making up DeJounte Murray news on the internet.
Yeah,
super chat here from Brandon Whitney. What ownership setting do you use for the lineup generator on Stokastic? As always, thanks for the information. What ownership setting?
What are we talking about? I'm just made sure that I banned that human being, and he's in the shadow realm, never to be heard from again. May God have mercy on his stupid soul.
So do you mean like I don't set a min or max ownership in my lineups, if that's what you're asking? Yes, what ownership setting we use?
I don't know what he's asking for.
I'm pretty sure he means the
like setting a min, like a min or a max. It's slate dependent. You can't do that. So like one of the easiest way to do it is I've done this before too, where I just say, what's my optimal? What does it look like? Or I'll take like, hey, minimum setting of like a very high exposure, like take, maybe 20%, 30% off. I used to do things that way, but now there's just easier ways to do it. You can have a bucket of players, say that I want to add a player who's under 15% or two players under 15% and just have a rule set up somewhere there. For me, I just do a sorting process where I basically take one table and then I have the boom bust table and I go and it ranks out certain lineups for me. So that's the best way to do it. Oh, Tom, look at that. Tom coming in from the top rope. Our commander-in-chief. There's a setting for contrarian, balanced, or chalky in the lineup generator. There we go. Going over. That's what he's asking about.
Did he say lineup generator or did he say... Oh, you know what? I misread the
lineup
question.
Generator.
I had fantasy cruncher on my mind.
Yep, I'm glad we did that. So NBA, if you go to the NBA tab and you go to the NBA DFS lineup generator, we have chalky, balanced,
Jordan, pull it up on the screen.
He's got it. He's ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Get your head in the game.
There we go. Yeah, if you pull it up on the screen there, and you guys could see the different settings. By the way, apologies that I misread the question. I had Fantasy Cruncher on my mind. We'd gotten a couple of questions already about Fantasy Cruncher. So props to Tom. That's why he runs the company, and we're just idiots who tell dick jokes and talk about DFS on the screen.
In my defense, I didn't read it. You're supposed to do that, so you're the idiot today. Congratulations. You're going to win the
question as it was worded, and then we were both just confused. Yeah, I blame Eric. So anyway,
thanks.
So also it depends what you're building for. Are you building for cash games? If you're going to build something for cash games, you want to go with a chalkier lineup. If you're going to be playing for tournaments, and also, it could be a little bit dependent on terms of are there chalk players you really like on any given slate, but I would go more towards the balanced for a tournament setting. But if you're building for cash games, once again, I would click on the chalky settings. And now let me reread the question again to make sure that I haven't misread anything. What ownership setting do you use for the lineup generator on Stokastic? As always, thanks for the information. Yeah, I would say balanced for tournaments, and then for cash games, go with a chalkier build.
There you go. That's exactly what I would do.
All right. Thank you, Tom, for interjecting, and Brandon, thank you for the super chat. It is much appreciated. Were there any other questions that we got after we covered up for me being an idiot? Or, sorry, Eric being an idiot. My bad.
Oh, yeah. No, it was 100% my fault. Just like everything.
Here we go. Riley Cooper. Boncaro or Benny Simmons? Neither.
I like Ben Simmons if he starts.
If it has to be one or the other, I would say Ben Simmons just for the flexibility, but I'm not going to be playing either of them today.
I will play Ben Simmons if he starts. I will have some shares. I know it's a knee. I know that it's limited opportunity. I understand that I'm far more in the corner of cheering for Phoenix with the -4 it opened at yesterday. That was good times. But I am very much on board with getting to a 6,700 Ben Simmons. Because if he starts, I'm going to project him for 28 minutes. And if he doesn't, then I just don't have to worry about him. So I'd be more in your camp there.
If he doesn't start, he just might be a DNP coach's decision.
Yeah, I that's definitely live to happen. I would have 0%, but he has to start, and then I'll have a little bit.
Did you see some of the reports on Ben Simmons about his trade value right now?
I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of different things about Ben Simmons, but not anything specific. What are you referring to?
He's basically a negative trade asset now. Like if the Nets wanted to trade him, they'd have to attach draft picks and get nothing in return.
Oh, absolutely, because his salary is just egregious for a guy who have. Do you know his points prop today? I want you to just guess, because when I looked at it, my brain did a flip.
7.5.
6.5.
That wasn't that far off.
I know, but that was a great guess. But I'm saying, like, we're talking about a guy who's making top 20 money in the NBA who has a points prop at 6.5.
And like I said, I went to the Nets game a couple weeks ago, and he actually played really well in that game, and Nets fans were not having it. They booed him constantly the entire game.
That's so weird to me. Didn't he triple double? Is that the one that I bet him at like
No, he didn't triple double. He scored 0 points, but he had like 16 assists or something. That's and incredible. They were not having it. They're like, get this bum off the court. Super chat. This one is from Mr. Coolcam 97. Top 5 must plays in FanDuel single entry. So the players I would consider the top 5 must plays for FanDuel single entry: Edmund Sumner, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, Zach LaVine, and for one more, I'll say Jokic as well.
Sounds great. Brandon Ingram available to play. That matters a lot.
Yeah, he was probable, so no real.
Yeah, I was just making sure. Jonas Valanciunas as well available to play. There you go. Both of them.
Jokic is a somewhat contrarian option on FanDuel, only projected for 16% ownership and ownership projection. So he is somebody who I think definitely I like being overweight to him even when he's chalkier on DraftKings. FanDuel as well. I think he's somebody to get overweight to there. The next super chat, or the next question we have to answer, comes from Sam Cassell Dance. What is the optimal score on DraftKings?
Your mother, Trebek.
So I could tell you the lineup I have. Let's see. So for me, my highest projected lineup is 286 on DraftKings.
I will tell you in 2 seconds after I make sure that I have all the stuff. So I got to right around 20% RJ Barrett for everybody who gave a shit about that.
I took the first game out of my player pool.
I don't completely hate it, but I have some Julius Randle. I have some Franz Wagner, which is weird, but I just like 2%. And then I have RJ Barrett and a tiny bit of Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, and once again, I think there are guys like points per dollar basis look pretty good there, but I'm just trying to make sure that I have as much flexibility as possible. If shit hits the fan, like we see a player on it, because not just beyond the injury report, like we could see players unexpectedly ruled out because of a trade tonight, stuff like that. I just want to give myself flexibility for any kind of, close to trade deadline nonsense.
That's going to be a conversation for tomorrow. Tomorrow, last year was pretty benign, but like 3 years ago, it was pre-COVID, 2019, there was a slate on a Wednesday where, like, I can't remember the exact scenario, but it got wild and you wanted to have all the swappability. So yeah, we're going to want to do that again.
Yeah. So for me, but I still think some of that could come into play today, but also I'm just giving myself flexibility, and there's nothing that I necessarily love and feel like I have to play in that first game. Riley Cooper, 14, assuming the headband bandit doesn't play, Dosunmu or White. I prefer Kobe White.
I'm going to have a lot of Kobe White. He's shooting guard eligible too. Multi-position eligibility helps.
How are you doing on your lineups?
Just one more thing. I'm just running one more sim and then I'm done. So here we go.
Uploading lineups for myself and clicking the button. Question here. This is from Lippy. He's playing 100% Derrick Jones Jr. So not quite as insane as, because Derrick Jones Jr. I think he projects well. sensible. This isn't quite Sam Hauser, but there you go. If you guys want to ride the Lippy hot streak, he played 100% Sam Hauser yesterday, and today he is on 100% of Derrick Jones Jr. J12 for Heisman. Can you talk about how you're handling the Jamal Murray situation? So it's correlated to what I said I was doing before. I'm just not playing the first game of the slate, giving myself flexibility. I think there's a pretty good chance that he's ruled out. And if that is the case, I am going to be able to react to it.
I'm going to have a ton of Bruce Brown. So the analysis is that whatever I have left, because there's no way I'm passing up on whatever this Nets starting lineup is, I'm going to be getting to Sumner, I think, regardless of if he starts or not. But like, I mean, I'll have obviously much less because he'll be overowned, but like, I'm pretty positive that I will just do everything that I humanly possibly can to get to Bruce Brown Jr. in spades.
Yeah, so I should have clarified because I think you answered that better than me. Or I think actually kind of answered it in tandem. For me, I'm not playing the first game, giving myself flexibility. And then to what Eric said, Bruce Brown Jr. is the guy who'd benefit the most if Jamal Murray doesn't play. There's no super cheap guys other than Bruce Brown I'd want to be getting to. Like that
being said, if Jamal Murray does play, he'll probably be my second highest owned Denver Nugget and one of my highest owned point guards on the slate.
That makes sense. And by the way, Riley Cooper 14. Did you entered Kobe White, right?
I did answer Kobe White, yes.
Okay. I shot him 6 times. Okay. Jonathan Isaac, $3,100. DK as a low salary pivot on DK. Also, best lineup for DK tiers. Thank you guys for all the great advice and content. I did not play Jonathan Isaac today.
I did not play any Jonathan Isaac. He is not for me.
So I actually did build out DK tiers lineups today, and these are the players I got to most of at each tier. Nikola Jokic in tier 1, John Morant in tier 2, Anthony Edwards in tier 3, although that will become Jamal Murray if he plays, because I think he will go way under-owned in that spot if he ends up being in. Zach LaVine in tier 4, Nick Claxton in tier 5, Brandon Ingram in tier 6. Those are the players I got the most of in each tier for Mr. I shot him 6 times.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Why stop at 6 though? Like, why is that is that just how much is in the clip?
Suppose. Maybe you ask him, Greg.
The Claw 28, best guard on DK 8,300 and under. 8,300 and under. Zach LaVine, easy.
Yeah, Zach LaVine for me.
Jamal Murray, by the way, if you already have Zach LaVine.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness! All right, got it. Whew. That was weird. I got us. You know when you upload it, it like does it. It like says the weird column thing on DK where it's like it just didn't update on the thing. I was like, oh, because I had the wrong button clicked. That always gives me a heart attack. Though I just had to copy paste it one more time. Good talk. Great story, Eric.
And the rest of the super chats, I believe we've gotten to them now. And the questions in Discord, Ernie P, max players per team. I want to double check this, but I'm pretty sure I have. Yeah, it's 3 for me.
Yeah, I don't have any lineups that have more than 3 from a team.
Yeah. Another question from Lippy here. Tell me about New Orleans and why I'm getting to a shit ton of them. Because Zion Williamson is out still. I mean, I know that Zion Williamson has been out, but the players have never really been priced up appropriately for Zion being out. Like, for whatever reason, how many slates have we had now where CJ McCollum's been popular? Brandon Ingram now also has just not been priced up. And Ingram's role as of late has been massive. So that's really it. Like, it's for whatever reason, Zion's been out for like a month and a half now, and the players' prices have never caught up.
Yeah, it's been pretty wild.
And Ingram minutes and usage in games since Zion came back. We don't have to worry about any kind of minutes restriction anymore. 32.5 and 36 the last 2 games. The usage in the 5 games since Ingram came back from injury: 42%, 31%, 31%, 46%, 41%. That's why you're getting to a lot of Brandon Ingram right now. The next, I think, did we handle all these? I guess people want to know who we're getting the most exposure to, so we could run through that right now as we get into a lock. Who did you, and we were kind of running lineups right up to the gun here, but Eric, who did you end up getting the most exposure to at each position, starting with point guard?
Edmund Sumner, Kobe White, Cam Thomas.
Those are the same 3 for myself.
Right, in that order too?
Not that order.
Okay, I figured. 3. Yeah, I was going to say, because I have less Cameron Thomas than the field. Shooting guard, Brandon Ingram, Kobe White, Cameron Thomas.
It is Brandon Ingram, Cameron Thomas, and Zach LaVine for me.
Yeah, Zach LaVine at small forward. Then Aaron Wiggins, just for the swappability, and Kyle Anderson.
Herb Jones is somebody I like at small forward.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, just a lot of players from New Orleans, like Lippy said before. They're just players that getting to today. Also, Herbert Jones at power forward. Jaren Jackson Jr. ended up coming up in a fair amount of lineups for me. And then Derek Jones Jr.
Yeah, Jared Jackson Jr., my highest on power forward. Kyle Anderson, DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, if you have a junior in your name, I probably rostered you at power forward.
Seems like it.
Centers, Jokic by a lot.
Jokic by an absolute landslide, then Anthony Davis, then Nicholas Claxton.
Lineup alert. We've got Devin Booker officially in the Suns lineup for
Cool
today.
Beans Coffee Shop.
By the way, something like Derek Jones being in a second, we're going to talk about some of our favorite bets for the slate. We're going to talk more about PrizePicks and some of our favorite props over there, and we'll bring up Bet Pro. So, Jordan, after we look at some of our just final exposures here and whatnot in the Sun situation, we're going to go look at NBA Bet Pro. So the one of the reasons also the ownership kind of becomes concentrated is when you've got a player like Devin Booker coming back for the Suns, you then basically have the entire team out of consideration on a small slate. And then it just kind of limits the pool of options. And then the value becomes even more magnified, especially something like the Hawks. DeJounte Murray ended up playing, so their backcourt doesn't look great. OKC, I didn't really play a lot of them. So that's something that to me, my ownership kind of became more concentrated. But Devin Booker officially.
Oh, my God.
Oh, what's this about now?
So Edmund Sumner not starting, and he's the cheapest one. So this is going to be that exact scenario I just talked about where I didn't want to deal with it, but he's going to be overowned. And now we just have to think about how much we really want him at 4,100 because Cam Thomas starting.
The starting lineup for the Nets is Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas, Joe Harris, Royce O'Neal, Nick Claxton. So here's where I was wrong. I thought that Joe Harris was going to come off the bench and we were going to see Edmund Sumner stick in the starting lineup. Not what ended up happening. Sumner to the bench, Joe Harris starting. So you mentioned right there that and common sense wise, Edmund Sumner doesn't look quite as great now that he's going to be coming off the bench. But is there anybody that you do like more from the Nets now? Or is it just going to be a thing you play less Edmund Sumner, and how much less Edmund Sumner?
Yeah, so I'm going to have a little bit of Ben Simmons. I talked about if he starts, I would get to a little bit just because there's just 30-something-ish minute upside still there. You got to think that if you're looking at moving him, you'd still limit him. But just to remind people, give them a nice little reminder that he's pretty good at basketball. I don't completely think that he's out of the realm of playing 34 minutes just to like show him off in some kind of a way. It's so weird to use that as analysis because, again, I think people know who Ben Simmons is. He's not going to shoot the basketball. He's going to do everything else pretty well. I don't like Joe Harris. I'm not going to play him. I still prefer just jamming Wiggins in that last game of the night, Oklahoma City, Aaron Wiggins, and just letting the news roll in. I like the Herbert Jones. I'm going to give him a little bit of a boost here as well. But Brooklyn, you're going to play Cameron Thomas, 5,200. He still looks really, really good now. It's going to be really weird because we had Edmund Sumner as the highest owned piece on this slate, 58%. I'll use the boom bust tool. We'll see how radically people get off of him, but it's after lock. And anything that happens after lock, people just don't swap. So it's so hard to imagine that I'm going to be getting anywhere close to the field when it's all said and done.
Jorge Jefferson says, I did this last night with Hardy and got punched.
But in the dickles. It was not fun.
Yeah, so
I had 0% of him for what it's worth, and I had like 65% that McKinley Wright fellow. That was real sharp, Eric. Good job. I was also pretty dead after not having Hauser and not having other things, so I was happy to like go to the guy who was 10% starting as opposed to the guy who was 34% coming off the bench.
Wasn't right like 20.
It's like 11% or 10%, like the $4, and then in the $100 single entry, he was less than 20%.
Yeah, I thought he was 17% in the $15. I don't remember exactly though. It was
you might have been closer in the $15. I only played a couple of lineups in that. I didn't play 150 or anything in that. I generally don't.
We got a question from Jay. His normal question, he wants to know, what is the highest projected build for Lakers OKC for Showdown? So let me run some Showdown lineups for you, and then I'll do the normal thing. I'll circle back to you.
I want to add one thing because Shane Daly just put it in all caps. He's still only 4,100. We know that's why it's a headache, because he's still somebody who's going to project out decently well at 4,100. But we play an ownership game, and he's going to be overowned. You cannot make the argument that he is going to be appropriately owned. He's going to be overowned. Period. End of story. Now, do you have other pieces in mind? Do you need the 4,100? Like in that event, if you want to eat that piece of chalk, great, have fun. You have to get the other 7 parts of your lineup right too. But like for me, making more than one lineup, there's no way that I'm going to have near the field, whatever it ends up being, of Edmund Sumner.
So I'm going to lower my exposure to Edmund Sumner, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be in any lineups. Right?
Correct. That's the same thing I'm doing.
Less of him now than I did 3 or 4 minutes ago, whenever that starting lineup came out.
Yes.
Cash games, I think you should still play Sumner in cash.
Yep. I'm with you.
Just he's going
a blocker. Play him as a blocker. Who cares?
That's what when somebody still projects well and still there's the path to upside there and they're going to be popular, still play them in cash games. Tournaments, once again, not a fade, but if you're somebody who's playing multiple lineups, I think you should be getting less exposure to them.
Well, also for cash games, we got the DeJounte Murray news ahead of time. We got the DeRozan news ahead of time. There's not like a ton of pending news outside of Kyle Anderson and Jamal Murray. Like that game is still the highlighted star. Like you need to absolutely have it. But we got the Nets starting lineup. You're playing with all the information in front of you now for the most part, outside of that Minnesota-Denver game, and just have a plan in place for that one scenario, and you should be set to go. So like in cash, yeah, you're still going to play a 50-something% owned Edmund Sumner.
And we could also look at when our projections get updated, Jordan, let's pull those up on the screen and we could talk about what some of the Sumner projections look like once that gets uploaded. As for Jay's super chat, because I just ran some lineups for the Showdown. So to recap, Jay had asked us, what is the highest projected build for Lakers OKC? So I'll go through some of the players that in the lineups I ran, I got to the most of it. Captain, pretty clearly the 2 captains I got the most exposure to were Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Nobody else is really remotely close. As for utility plays, the cheap guy I got to the most. And by the way, projecting OKC could be a little bit wonky because their starting lineups are just absolute bullshit. Like they don't mean anything and they change every game. Like how else would you explain them? They're not really indicative of anything. And
I mean, we could maybe find more eloquent words to use.
But that's what they are. And they change every game. It's not something it's not really based on matchup. It's just based on like, I don't know. I think the diagonal farts in the morning. He's like, oh, that smelled like Aaron Wiggins. This is who's starting today. Like that's how I think he determines his starting lineups. So anyway, right now, the cheap guys that I got to the most there. So LeBron, AD, and even SJA, you could easily fit all 3 of those guys in the same lineup. And then players like Aaron Wiggins, Darius Baisley, Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams with a Y. It could be confusing because there's multiple Jalen Williamses on the Oklahoma City Thunder, but you want to play the Jalen Williams, at least for me in Showdown, 2,400 Jalen Williams. I think he's a good value piece, as is Darius Baisley at 1,800.
Darius Baisley.
So, Jay, that's what I was getting to there.
What a world.
Now, let's see if our projections. No. The player projection, Mr. Klein. Okay, perfect. Lee's on top of it.
What a guy. You're that guy, pal. You're that guy.
You are that guy. All right. Let's sort by the Nets and look at what some of the updated players are showing. So here's where you see the difference. And Edmund Sumner is currently projected for 24 fantasy points. Our projection on Edmund Sumner before the update was about 27, a little bit under 28. I think 27.6 is what I have marked down from the last time I looked at it. So once again, 4,100, he's not unplayable at 24 fantasy points, but he definitely becomes a much less appealing looking option. So Edmund Sumner is somebody who I think you guys should reduce your exposure to. And then in terms of Do you think the field is going to change anything with Sumner with him coming off the
Nope.
bench?
Nope. They should, but they're not going to. It's just, I mean, in the $15, because there's enough 150s, you always see more radical shifts with this. You saw it yesterday with Hardy. He ended up 34% in there. A lot of single entry tournaments. He ended up more popular. I just saw our guy, Steve Buzzard, to Colts, one of the best players in the world, period. End of story. He did the same thing where he just lowered his exposure drastically. I saw something from my guy, DK. He posted on Twitter that Petty Theft, who's a very good player, very skilled player in NBA DFS, went from having like all the Hardy did like 2% or something. It was a painful day if you reacted to the news yesterday, but it's a 1 game, 1 slate sample size. You want to do the right stuff routinely. And just because it worked out for everybody that Hardy smashed, and does it mean that Hardy couldn't have been somebody that you could have in lineups? No, but like you have to make these decisions. And if you play a ton of slates, as opposed to just playing 1 slate, if this is like the 1 slate a week that you play, go ahead and keep Edmund Sumner in your lineup. He's safer than a lot of other options that exist there. But like, if you're routinely in the streets day in, day out, and you want to do this for a living, you want to do this competitively, you want to do this for profit, make the best decisions you can every single day and live with the result. Edmund Sumner is overowned, period. End of story.
I'm updating my lineups right now, and I'll let you guys know when this is done.
I'm straight up not having a good time right now.
Are you not?
I'm trying to decide what to do with him. I mean, I just ran it again and I got 42% of him, but like, I'm going to nuke it in a way where I just get less of him. I'm just going to do it.
And so here's the thing I don't like as I'm running through. So by the way, Sumner was in more than half of my lineups before, and I just reran it and I got to him in 25% of my lineups, but he also appeared in my highest projected lineup, which usually ends up being the stuff that I'm in like single entry with. I don't want him in my single entry lineup.
Has Eric ever won a GPP? Good question, Rob. Yes, multiple times. I've made more money than you. Have a great day.
Look at Eric coming in, throwing shade at Rob. We don't even know who Rob is.
No. I'm just saying, how many 100K wins you got, fam? I got some. What you doing? Go eat a burrito, Eric. That should calm you down. Calm me down? What do I need to calm down for? I just wanted to explain to the people the scenario, and I'm being helpful. I hope you understand that I'm not up here talking to myself or trying to do whatever. I'm just saying, I'm fucking good at this. I'm
on Rob's side personally.
Honestly, shut the fuck up. How about that?
It could be Rob's start. What if it's
it could be. Then I'm definitely, then it's problematic.
Yeah.
Who's the swap? Like Beverly? No, we're not going to play Patrick Beverly today. Don't do that.
It's the young wolf, Rob Stark. Come on.
Shut up, Eric. Oh, I'm with you, Eric. Oh, LOL. I don't care. Yes, I'm just literally up here helping you. Don't mind me.
Avi, Schreier, Collins, or Hunter at power forward for FanDuel on Atlanta. Who do I have better between those two? I'm almost certain that is Zach. That is John Collins, but just gonna double check here. Yeah, it's John Collins.
I love John Collins for tournaments today. No.
Yeah. Avi is asking Collins or Hunter, and you have. Oh, and look, by the way, you're getting some support here. Steve
I'm also getting some not support here.
Money. Eric has won me money. That's how good he is.
I'm just saying. It's whatever. Some people can't be helped, Greg. We're here to save the lost souls. That's what we're here to do.
Zolo Baxter. Eric is a great tournament player. Not even good, great.
You can see my results. I'm pretty good.
All right. The other people kind of, here we go. Craig L, you're talking to yourself, Eric. You don't need to answer yourself. Sometimes it helps though. You ask yourself questions, you answer them. Eric, look at this. Where'd that one go? Did Jordan remove that one? Somebody called you a national treasure, and I think it got deleted. Like the movie. Yeah. Hermits and Chill. Eric is a national treasure, but he's a fucking freak. Come on, that's
freakily Shaniqua. Monique.
Yeah, I'm put that on the cover of the biography you're gonna read. that you're gonna write one day.
Somebody DM me, hey, you didn't completely suck today. That was like a DM that I got last week on, coming
There
up of
you
a
go.
betting card. He goes, you didn't completely suck. 4-2. I was like, oh, gee, I'm getting like participation trophies. Oh, hey, Duke. What's up,
Yeah,
homie?
Duke likes you. There you go.
Hey, bud. Yeah. Oh, he's now sleepy. He's sleepy.
Shikari Mafood. I don't know how to pronounce that. MHFUOOD. I know FOOD spells food, but Mafood. Is Kobe White a must play? No, I like him in tournaments. I wouldn't consider him a must play. And then and Daniel House Jr. Daniel House Jr. He doesn't. I mean, if you have found, so I would be really confused if you found a way to play Daniel House today. He's not even on the slate.
Yeah. So best of luck. Let me know how that goes for you.
Daniel House. I don't even know who he means instead of Daniel House.
No idea.
Huh.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Chat going so fast, no one read my Eric comment. Sorry, 8 game. That's too bad.
Emac says he means Daniel Jones Jr. Derek Jones Jr.
Wow.
I think Derek Jones is a really good value play. I don't know that we know that that's Daniel House, but yeah, I like Derek Jones Jr. So play him in cash games. Play Derek Jones Jr. in cash games.
Yes.
The next super chat we have is from Rob. Damn, bro, was just asking a question and caught a stray. He's just being inquisitive. I think this is this an apology, Eric? What do you want to say about the Lord of Winterfell here?
I have no words. Stop wearing Betty Crow.
Once again, I've been Team Rob since the start here.
Okay, cool. Good talk. Glad we had it.
Team Rob. But yeah, Eric's very profitable at DFS. You guys should be listening to him. You guys are listening to him. We're here. We're hanging out. Addy Balagun. Are you playing Sumner on FanDuel at $5,100?
No.
I think you should be underweight to field on Sumner on DraftKings, even more so on FanDuel at $5,100.
Correct. That is correct.
Does that take care of the... nope, here's one more super chat. MJazz22. Eric tells it how it is.
I do.
Sometimes he sings how it is. You couldn't have explained it better. The man has won me money. Just watch the new Hall of Fame. It's true. MJazz has had some big wins as of late. He had a FanDuel win. What was the big hit that you had on FanDuel? It was like 5 days ago or something. Jamal Murray game time decision, by the way. So yeah, MJazz. And by the way, if you guys want to get into the Stokastic Hall of Fame, super easy. All you have to do is make sure whatever site you're playing on, DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, No House Advantage, make sure your avatar is the Stokastic logo. And if you win a tournament, come in one of the top places, first, second, third, at us at Stokastic HOF over on Twitter, because we don't just magically know anyone. You tweet at us, and we always love to see your guys' wins. We feature them in our Hall of Fame segments, and also you get yourself free access to Stokastic Platinum package for a month. So go check that out. If you guys, it's just a really easy way. If you guys have wanted to try out our tools, but maybe you have been looking for a cheaper way to do it, win a tournament and make sure you have our avatar. A good way to get in the door. And M Jazz right there saying that he was recently featured in the Hall of Fame segment. So with the help of Eric Lindquist.
Look at that.
Thoughts?
It's love. Again, I'm just up here trying to help the people the best that I can. And again, go ahead and disagree with me. In fact, I encourage you to find things that you disagree with me on. But long term, I'm trying to win money. Period. End of story. I'm trying to help you do the same. So let's focus on that, not just, whatever else. I'm having fun, joking around. You come at me, I'll come at you. We'll have nice rapport, whatever else. But the only person who's gotten banned this entire time for talking in the chat is somebody who brought fake news into the chat. That's just not tolerable. But everything else, I'm pretty sure I can take it at this point. You can say what you want.
And per Guitar Man 247, Eric is just here because he's nice nipples for real.
Oh my God, dude. They're
so there we go. Everybody watches these shows for different reasons.
Yeah, I was getting different strokes for different folks. Very literally.
Yeah. So there we go. And Jake Swell says, "Welcome to the Big Booty Mix." Everybody's got different
big booty mix. Oh, that big booty mix is so fire. Have you ever heard those mixtapes? They're so good.
I think I've heard when we have people over at my house when it's not infested with COVID and I'm not like staying at my parents' house, I'm fairly sure that's on my brother's playlist. When we have
Yep, it's really, really good. So throwing it out there for the people.
Some early results from the Knicks Magic game. Well, it feels pretty good to not have Knicks players right now. The Knicks have 7 points halfway through the first quarter.
It's not great, Bob.
On the Magic side, though, as one Eric Lindquist might say, Markelle Fultz nuking 4 points, 2 assists, a steal, and a rebound in the early going. Nobody else really doing anything in that game, though.
My wife's about to walk in the door. Duke's about to go crazy. I'm just warning you. It's happening. It's all happening. I'm on high alert. I'm waiting.
Just gonna walk in.
There it is.
Hey, it's very exciting.
Great television. There it was. Jordan Klein's like, oh, Eric's annoying. Are you paying attention today? I feel like I haven't gotten any reaction from you once, and we've said some funny shit.
Jordan, thoughts?
I'm ranting. Like,
no, Jordan, why would you encourage that? Actually, that's not true. He did sing at the top. Although, actually, we didn't. We just kind of spoke some 41 lyrics. Some 41.
Oh, we did some 41.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm sorry
that
Jordan doesn't
erroneous
know
on all accounts. Erroneous.
I'm sorry that Jordan doesn't know who Sum 41 is. He only knows the TikTokers who dress up in Hogwarts costumes that he sends in our group chat.
I mean, the faster we're falling, we're stopping and stalling. We're running in circles again.
Yeah, I don't even know what songs there are about Harry Potter characters, but that's the content I get from Jordan. Content I get from Mike L, who just left us a super chat for FanDuel GPP, Thomas and Collins or Wiggins and Jaren Jackson Jr.
I am obsessed with Jaren Jackson Jr. today, so I can't really give you anything that isn't that.
It's hard for me to not say Cam Thomas at this point. The other thing too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
the chalk on Cam Thomas is really palatable. Like even more so now, where I'm not going to be playing as much of Edmund Sumner.
Correct. So okay, that's fair then. I'm with you there.
Cam Thomas and John Collins, Mike L. That's the answer. Just making sure that we.
Oh no! See, here's the thing. Now I'm running into this conundrum where I keep landing on different pieces, and I'm like, do I in my like single entry stuff? Do I still? I can't play Sumner after that rant. I can't do it.
Baba Yaga. That's an interesting name.
I love it.
Cam Thomas and Santi Aldama. Oh, so Thomas, Aldama, and Vooch are Ingram, Jackson, and Drummond. That's Thomas, Aldama, and Vooch for me. Well, I don't really like Aldama, but still, Thomas, Aldama, and Vooch.
There you go. How much Vooch did you end up with?
Not very much.
Eric, I think you need to start smoking before the show to calm down. No, I need to do the opposite. I need to drink more coffee at 4:30.
I agree. I think that would make for more entertaining shows. Cocaine also advocated. I think that would help.
Cool.
Going to head on over to Discord really quick, and then Jordan, if you could pull up NBA Bet Pro, because we're going to look at that in a second as well. I just want to answer one more question that we have here in Discord, and then we'll close this out by bringing up NBA Bet Pro. Hitman J, thoughts on Joval for a DK GPP? So he is my second favorite center behind Nikola Jokic.
There you go. Yeah, I love Joval for tournaments.
Lippy wants to know, can you play 100% Sumner and Thomas the same lineup? I would not play 100% Sumner. Now, with that said,
not do that.
This could be our reckoning, because yesterday when we didn't like Lippy's 100% play, it was Sam Hauser, and he became a 90% 3-point shooter.
Little how's your father? A little bit of that. It was not good.
Yeah, Sam Hauser absolutely lit it on fire last night. Yeah, nuke. That's my favorite video I have right now on my phone.
It works in a lot of situations.
K thumbs, Kobe or Sumner now that he's not starting. I prefer Kobe White. I'm getting more exposure of him.
Kobe White. I like him a lot.
Sam Cassell Dance, do you mind staying live for another 4 hours? I always have nothing to do when this show ends. I shouldn't have read that with Tom now that I know that Tom's listening, because now he's going to get ideas. I'm going to get a message afterwards. Hey, can you guys do the show for 4 hours a day? Unfortunately, Sam, I have to eat dinner at some point today.
Yeah, I'm struggling today. I'm just trying to get everything done. I'm trying to be the best that I can. And now, I'm just looking for a little encouragement in my life. And now you want me to be here for another half hour? No, we can't do that. But thank you so much for the sentiment.
Boss Bro, and we ended up getting a lot more Discord questions, Jordan, trying
Cool.
to make sure I get to all of them. Kobe or Io? I prefer Kobe White.
Kobe White for sure, but he's going to be more popular. So I do have a little bit of Io.
Dr. 2-Inch, the man who really relates to Eric, saying that Eric had the best Trey Murphy call last year. It was the best DFS call he's ever heard.
It was pretty sick. He was 1% and went for 45. So that was enjoyable. At flat 3K. No big deal. Won all the money.
JEW, favorite low-owned players in DK single entry. Who are the low-owned players you ended up getting?
See, I'm trying to figure that out right now because a lot of the players I thought were going to be low-owned, again, Derek Jones Jr., it's starting to come down. So I am not going to be on that one. I don't understand that one as much as everybody else does. I'm way lower on that. I do think Io ends up being a little bit under-owned. He's projected for 4.7%. I do have a little bit of that. Not all the I don't know. He's still pretty epic. Yeah, I'm trying to get everything finished up, but it seems as though Kyle Anderson, I just love Kyle Anderson.
Let me look at my lineup, see who's somebody who's projected for low ownership right now.
I guess he's now to 17.9% too. I just refreshed it. It's just wild. Every new update coming all the time. This is great.
Xavier Tillman's 10% owned, and I've about double him.
There you go. That's a good call.
And then Einsteinium saying that Sumner would play in a blowout and in a close game. Wouldn't he? Joe Harris could still play a limited role. Yeah, Eric and I both said that we think Sumner points per dollar should project well. It's just a matter of we think he's going to be too popular. It doesn't mean that we think that it doesn't mean we think he scores 8 fantasy points.
No, I have 19% of him, so it's not like I have 0 of him. I'm just way underneath what I think the field is. We have him projected over 30% still. So the slappies are going to slap. So there you go.
And then Lippy, thoughts on Alex Caruso. I think Alex Caruso is so in terms of the updated injury reports, by the way, because we should hit on this. Alex Caruso is still listed as questionable, right? So my thought is that he doesn't play, but he's still officially questionable.
Correct.
All right, let's close out with this NBA Bet Pro. I've been teasing it for a minute here, but we haven't been able to get to it. We got news, we got a bunch of questions. Want to make sure that all of your guys' thoughts, questions, comments are all answered. We're going to close it out right here by talking about NBA Bet Pro. If you guys have not checked it out yet, easiest way to play sports bets, the easiest way ever, because first of all, you get access to it for 1 week for free. And I'm so confident in the early results we've gotten on this. I think that in those 7 days, you guys are going to make a bunch of money that's just going to pay for the subscription going forward. And then it's just going to keep rolling over where it's just going to pay for itself. And then basically you're going to parlay your 1 free week into getting a really useful tool pretty much forever. And Eric and I right now are going to look at NBA Bet Pro. And earlier we talked about some of our favorite PrizePicks props over on NBA Bet Pro, but is there anything else from a prop betting perspective that stands out to you?
Yeah, there were a couple that I had earlier. I guess we should talk about the LeBron James thing. Does he break the record tonight?
Most likely, he needs 36 points, if I'm not mistaken.
36, yeah, 35 to tie.
I think he breaks it next game. I don't think he breaks it today.
Okay, there you go. Interesting. I think he breaks it tonight. So I will throw the last one in there. I like the over of 31.5. That seems to be the prevailing number right now. Even if he doesn't get there, there's obviously that little window where he doesn't need to do it. People are like, oh, well, look what he's done in his last 4 games with Anthony Davis back and everything else. And for me, it's more of like, if you heard LA crowds, there's a 240 total. I have a feeling once it starts, if he starts getting close, I feel like no matter what, you get down to the last 3 minutes, he's going to be chucking it. So I know that that's such a weird piece of analysis. I've kind of been beating myself about it all day because it's like, what a weird bet to put in because of like a feeling. That's never the reason you should be betting something, but I think it is legitimately a good bet. I think he breaks it tonight.
And then another quick super chat here from Tyler Sappington. Fultz already at 3 assists, and he's the over 5.5 on PrizePicks.
Oh, Kyle Anderson ruled out right now.
Really timing? Quick for me, I like Patrick Beverley over 2.5 rebounds. It's plus money. We have him projected for about 3.5 rebounds. And I think Russell Westbrook is live to either be a DNP today or get traded sometime tonight. So really quick before we log out and
Alex Caruso's starting.
All right. So we are, by the way, everything that I have right now is screwed up. All this stuff is
Oh my God.
Really quick recap here. I'm going to like getting to Alex Caruso now.
Me too. At 3,900, he's now a guy. I like him. Dosunmu, Caruso, Levine, Williams, Vooch. We'll see what happens. But I mean, fortunately, we just jammed a lot of Kobe White there. Hopefully, this is one of the reasons. It's like you get to him, you can easily turn it into Caruso. Should be a pretty easy swap.
Yeah. So I'm going to like getting to Caruso. Kyle Anderson getting ruled out, and kind of happy with that because I've had some slates I've gotten to Kyle Anderson recently and he just gets hurt instantly in all those games. So I'm happy that we did get news that he's out. In his absence, anything you like that stands out that is going to be a priority for you in any way?
Yeah. So, I mean, he's had these weird back spasms, but the first guy right off the bat, you look at Jaden McDaniels, he's 4,600 that's sitting there. I don't completely know what to do. What I want to do here with Taurean Prince. I'll rerun some stuff there. Matt Ryan started that second half after he got hurt last time, which was kind of strange to me. But I think more long-term, I think Taurean Prince going to be the guy 3,500 that makes more sense to be taking shots on. Certainly don't want to probably be getting to Matt Ryan there. Rudy Gobert probably helps the rebound rate a little bit so long as he's good to go here. And matching up along the other side against Nikola Jokic, they'll want him on the floor a bunch. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty clear-cut deal, though, for me. Jaden McDaniels, the main beneficiary.
All right, that is going to do it for us today, guys. If you haven't done yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys all watching. Eric Johnson, I see your hidden messages. It appears you have a very fun night ahead of you. So, guys, we will be back here at the same time tomorrow. Have a good night.